And we are live. We are back with 2021 NA Apprentice Season 1 Code A. It's quite a mouthful, but I am Light_VIP and I am joined for the second time on this channel by mLty.
Hello. I'm really excited to see the game state. We have a lot of TVZ today, which I'm really excited about since I play both Zerg and Terran, and I can't wait to see how this goes.
I feel like a lot is an understatement. It's it's nothing but good.
I think there's like one ZVZ and one TVT in there, but this is basically all Zerg versus Terran, so all of the best matchup. Which who can hate on that?
Exactly. Oh boy. So I apologize if you're a Protoss fan in the chat, but you know we're gonna have plenty more Protoss throughout the rest of the groups. Today we're just getting into the best matchup, arguably.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely excited for the best matchup. Like Protoss matchups are fun, but like there's just Zerg versus Terran has been the classically, like in my opinion at least, the best matchup for almost the entirety of StarCraft's existence since like 2000, 2001. So
yeah. I mean, it's like almost undisputed how like back and forth and dynamic it can be. And again, like speaking a little bit about the tournaments, you know, if you're familiar with NA Apprentice and this channel, for the longest time we were only covering NA Contender throughout the majority of 2020, as before the NA Apprentice used to be split up into NA Apprentice proper and then NA Contender. That is still the case in 2021, except on top of that, NA Apprentice also got split up into Code A and Code S as well. It's like, oh my god, so like they've kind of expanded and they're including more players.
Yeah, and I think there are 4 groups total, each consisting of 4 players, and I believe we're casting eventually all 4 of the groups. I think we're gonna do them like 1 week at a time. This week is Group C, and then I think next week we're gonna do Group B. I'm not 100% sure on that. So,
oh
yeah, we've got. That's something I wanted to say, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, by the looks of it, we might have almost gotten to the Spanish intro number 14, and that slightly terrifies me.
Why did you have to remind the people? Oh, why you're contributing to it as well? God damn it.
Yes, only a little bit. I'm not going to max out my contribution, but I feel like that is something that interesting, and we might hit today. Though, you know, maybe not if we're a bit lucky. We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, we'll see. Like this is the curse of the channel, where the majority of the time the Spanish intro gets redeemed when we're not even casting like Latin American players. I don't know how it turns out that way, but god damn it.
I mean, hey, just these things seem to work out. I mean, there are some Latin American players, not like tonight, but occasionally they cast in NA. I think, do they count as NA Apprentice? Are they eligible? I'm not actually 100% sure on the residency rules. If LATAM can even play an NA Apprentice, but
yeah,
you know more than me.
Yeah, I believe it is based off of residency, so there are a couple of Latin American players that do qualify as they do reside in North America. I think probably the biggest one is Eon.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like without further ado, we have our first series to get into.
Yes, and I am really excited about this one. It is a TVZ, surprise, and it's Disrespect versus ScrubbleS.
Oh boy.
And yes, Disrespect is actually a pretty good friend of mine. We have been playing like customs for a fairly long time, and he's been much better than me basically the whole time. He's a very interesting multi-prong harass style. He's killed me more times than I can count with like a single Reaper and a couple of Hellions. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Oh
yeah, especially since I believe it was maybe less than a week ago he joined a new team.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. It was he had been on, I believe, Icy it was for quite a while. And so now seeing him on somewhere new is really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we have his opponents spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE. It is the American Zerg player, the yellow Zerg, representing Team Risen from the Gosu. It is ScrubbleS.
And in that bottom right-hand corner, the team that I had mentioned, or the player that I had mentioned a bit earlier, on that new team, he is Disrespect. And I believe the team name is Intensity. I'm not 100% sure.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't do my due diligence of double checking like all the team names before the cast, so asking in advance as we see the players bantering just a little bit today.
I think this is one of the things that I love about NA Apprentice is that for the most part the majority of these players are very, very familiar with each other, not just in the game.
Yes, and it's like just because the NA is such like it's a fairly tight knit scene, especially at like the upper like Masters 1, low GM, mid GM, even up at like high GM. It's very like tight knit group of people who all sort of know each other and know how everyone else plays. Since like on its NA service there aren't that many players playing in on Bladder, relatively speaking, because on EU you have like this wide range of like 6K players, but over on NA it's a slightly smaller group who consistently play every day. So it's nice to see those familiar faces compete in tournaments.
Yeah, and not just like on the ladder, but on NA Apprentice as well. Like NA Apprentice has been running for quite a number of years, and like it feels like we have some pretty staple names there, like ScrubbleS and Disrespect.
Yes, exactly. As we do see Disrespect scouting the pool first as Ducklings do sneak by the Reaper, which is very, very big in my opinion. And we're going to see if the CC gets deleted, although there is an extra SCV on the low ground that ScrubbleS is seeing. And a Marine does pop out though, and so this is looking not ideal for ScrubbleS, unless that Marine gets lost to the Lings, which is less than ideal. He barely goes down, but there's still a lot of time where things are building and SCVs do have to be pulled here. Oh, this is not looking great for Disrespect starting out.
Oh yeah, exactly. Maybe a little bit of an overreaction with the amount of SCVs that were pulled. He did pull the Reaper back home, but more importantly, what's terrifying is that the Reaper didn't get any scouting information and he has not seen the Roach Warren.
Oh, that is absolutely terrifying. Roach all-ins are incredibly scary, and the bunker did like not get refunded, so Disrespect like still has a good chance, but he's pulling the barracks off of the reactor. That is not what you need. You need Marines and units right now. This is arguably worst case scenario.
Exactly. Like he's pumping out a Marine at the moment, as fast as possible. He did run into the Roaches in the middle of the map with the Reaper as well, so he is aware that they're coming. But again, like we need more units. We need like either like a Banshee on the way or a tank or something or a Cyclone, but it's not here.
That is, I believe there's like a Reaper and a Marine total units wise, and the bunker is going to keep this Reaper alive for quite a while, but he's going to try and refund it now, and it just barely does not quite manage to do it. Now there's like a heli and a couple units, as well as a bunker on the high ground. I don't know if this is going to be enough light.
Oh god, and he gets up the ramp as well. The depot was lowered. He's going to get on top of this bunker, and again, it's not like this is an overly committed all-in. Like there aren't any more units rushing across the map, but he's dealing so much damage with what he has.
Exactly. The SCVs do get pulled to try and fight these Roaches, but if you check out the production tab, there are like 9 drones on the way. And these drones are just going to get like such a massive economy lead here. Disrespect's down to like 8 SCVs mining minerals here. Not what you want out of a game 1 in this tournament series.
Exactly, especially because I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but in the chat, like he even called it. He's like, I think he said, "Don't roach all in me" or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Like he knew it was a possibility.
Yeah, it was like I believe it was ScrubbleS asked, "Oh, don't 4x me," and then he said, "As long as you don't roach all in me, we got a deal." But ScrubbleS not holding up his end of the bargain with a layer on the way, as well as finally getting link speed, and this looks like it could be Roach into Muta play. So we do see some spores going down as well, and can these Hellions get anything done is the question.
We'll see. I mean, you have to kind of roll the dice, go for like a Hail Mary play, right? If you're Disrespect, you're so far behind in terms of the economy, you have to try and make something happen.
Exactly. We do have Cloak and Banshees on the way, which will be very, very nice as more Hellions get made. And there's no third base, which is nice, but we do see that Spire is the tech of choice.
Yeah, exactly.
So Disrespect on a bit of a timer to come up with some anti-air.
Yeah, definitely. He has to either dive in and scout this. I mean, if he sees the gases, he can deduce what his opponent's doing, especially because, again, like, even gas is not even spent on link speed. You can kind of guess, he is going for that fast Spire, but he hasn't even expended a scan into the main. To be fair, in this situation, like, it's hard to afford that.
Exactly. You just took so much economic damage. As a Terran, you really want to be muling as hard as you can. As the Lings nearly catch a Hellion group. They do end up getting cornered, but that is still a lot of Lings going down for the 4 Hellions. But I don't know if that's a trade you really want to be taking right now as Terran.
Yeah, definitely. Like, oh god, but in the end, like, the Hellions, they get cleaned up, right? So that denies even further scouting information or the opportunity of Disrespect diving in.
Yes, and we do see there is a full wall up, so like ScrubbleS can't completely cause lots of havoc, but a third CC on the way I don't think is what you need with mutas popping. I feel like more Iraqs, maybe like an eBay for turrets, something, but I don't know, man. This is so nerve-wracking if you're the Terran player here.
I just realized if you look at the main base of Disrespect, his factory is in the air right now. There's no factory production whatsoever. Okay, finally it's floating over, but for a while there was just no factory production at all.
Yeah, that's not what you really want to be seeing, because ideally you get like some Widow Mines or something, but even like a tank at least that can like somewhat shoot, or even be used as bait, but like something, any units is better than nothing. Though I suppose maybe picking and choosing Marines and that eBay that I mentioned earlier over that thing, but I don't know, this is a scary spot to be in, and we do have those mutas popping and are heading across the map now, which is a little bit scary. Scouting around a bit. I'm curious what he's doing as opposed to just like running straight across.
Oh, he's looking for the Banshees.
No. It's like, Disrespect. His one big play to get back in was those Banshees going across, getting 1 billion drone kills, but like now with like Queens and Spores and lots of damage dealt to this Banshee.
Yeah.
I do not see it getting too much done.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, we do see the mutas across the map. I mean, both Banshees, they were taken down as well. There are Marines at home to defend, to be fair, and there are missile turrets, but the production, it's a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, there's not really, luckily the stim and combat shields is protected, but like there's just these missile turrets that like keep getting denied, delayed, and Disrespect, like he is definitely in a less than ideal position, but he does have upgrades on the way, which means eventually he will have good units, but oh no, the muta's jumping on top of the Marines. That's not what you want to see today.
Oh god, and you were just talking about the upgrades, but combat shield does get denied.
That is absolutely massive. Combat shields is like quite big for like they can take an extra like full 2 muta hits with combat shields. I believe mutas deal 9 damage in one go, and then there's bounces, but like the extra muta hits just gonna mean so much, make fighting mutas so much harder as upgrades are on the way for Zerg, and these mutas are still finding some damage.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're not done. Picking off a depot here and there. Again, the Marine count was almost shaved in half earlier, so again, like, if ScrubbleS wants to, he can attempt to take this fight.
Exactly. We do have an upgrade finishing for Terran here very soon, but like still, I don't know, man. It feels like so much damage. He can't get a third base. He's down like 40 supply, 30 supply. It's just, this isn't what you want to be seeing as a Terran player. You really want to be on the map doing damage, doing something even if it's just playing creep. And oh no, not again.
The mutas, they just, oh no, it's combat shields, no!
Combat shields for the second time gets delayed. There's just like no way to go back and forth, and yeah, Disrespect just calls it GG. Well done by ScrubbleS in game 1 to take that. That was really cleanly done by our Zerg hero there.
Yeah, definitely. GG. It's a bit unfortunate as well, just because of how the game started, right? Like the disrespect by ScrubbleS, I should say, because he said, hey, don't 4-rax me, and I wrote all in, and he was full of it.
Yeah, no, ScrubbleS not holding up his end of the bargain at all, so I'm very curious to see if this game Disrespect is going to 4-rax, because I think that would make a very, very cute play. So like, you killed me with what I told you not to kill me with, so I will kill you with the 4-rax.
I would love that. I'm not gonna lie, I would love it if he comes out with a 4-rax here.
Here's hoping, but game number 2 on Pillars of Gold. This is quite a big map, and there are a decent number of spots to hide some barracks on.
Oh yeah,
depending on your overlord patterns.
Time and time again, we have seen various proxies on this map, whether it's over on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, even somewhere around the center as well, depending on where the overlord scouting does go. Like, there's a lot of opportunity here.
Exactly.
As
probably introduce our players a little bit. As do you want to go first with?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go first. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Pillars of Gold LE, we have the American Zerg player currently up 1-0 in this best of 3, representing Risen from the Gosu. It is ScrubbleS.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, the Terran player for Intensity. Give it up for the blue player Disrespect. As we see our players going for this is a much more standard build from both sides. I feel like hatch first instead of the pool first of last time, and a standard gas racks, which is a little uncommon, but not the most uncommon thing to see in the world, as a little bit more banter coming out of Disrespect, saying, I could probably take games off anyone, but losing to ScrubbleS is, not quite the best showing of that. We'll have to see how this goes.
Yep. Just bringing up Prototype there. I believe Prototype is a teammate of ScrubbleS, also on Risen from the Gosu. Oh boy.
So mentioning Silky. Yeah, I haven't actually heard anything from Silky in a while. And it's not surprising if Disrespect is right that he quit. It's a bit disappointing. So I was always a bit of a Silky fan.
Yeah, I haven't seen the player pool for NA Apprentice Code S, but I would be pretty disappointed if Silky isn't competing anymore, just because I would go as far as to say he was the best American Zerg player last year.
I would definitely agree with that, especially because the other people who could contend for that title are like Scarlet, or not Scarlet, Scarlet's Canadian, Isaac, Panda Bear Me, would be like the other major contender, but he doesn't really play in tournaments much anymore, and so the American Zerg scene has really been hurting quite a bit, I must say.
Yeah, and Silky was doing well, not just on the ladder, but in DreamHack proper as well. Consistently, he would make it to the playoffs for the region. I myself, I'm a fan. I'd be a bit disappointed if we don't see him in 2021.
Exactly, myself as well. So do finally have the Reaper doing its dance. Now, do you think it's going to get any lings here this time, or do you think these players are not going to allow for that?
We'll see how cheeky he can be. I mean, he's he even has an SCV over at the third base location, looking to try and delay that third as long as possible. But it's ScrubbleS we're talking about. Does he really want a third?
I mean, having third bases are just that's such a 2016 mindset, really. Let's just really play it two base, all game, every game. But he does eventually take the third, which I suppose you have to in some of your games. But I don't know, man. Two base Muta strats are the way to go.
It's a bit monk-ass if you ask me, but I didn't get to mention it earlier. I'm a little bit disappointed. Disrespect. He didn't go for the 4 racks. He didn't go for anything too cheeky. He's still respecting his opponent. He's playing straight up.
Yeah, no disrespect. Not bringing out that respect or that disrespect at all. He's really just doing stock standard stuff, which I understand since he's a very, very talented mid game player. But at the same time, I want to see something cheeky and aggressive, but maybe in the next series. We do have several more TVZs on our hands, so eventually we'll probably see at least one proxy.
I would hope so. We're talking about the NA server here, right? NA, I would be surprised if we don't see some kind of cheeky proxies.
Because we do have the Queens and the Hellions and Reaper doing not that much, bouncing back and forth, and getting some creep tumors as an Overlord is getting killed by a Viking. And just fairly stock standard stuff. Oh wait, is that?
Oh boy,
that's not stock standard. Hang on a sec. Those are Marauders.
Yeah,
I just noticed.
Yeah, we've got Concussive Shell on the way. Not just Concussive Shell, but also that Armory as well. So we're going to be seeing a Marauder Hellbat push.
So this is this kind of cheeky thing I was hoping for. We do have a medevac on the way, but it's not coming to pick up the Marauders. Now it does double back for them, as do have things moving out. And I'm really excited. This is a very, very fun build. Disrespect.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm just quickly checking. ScrubbleS has not scattered whatsoever. He had that initial Overlord over the natural location, but it did get taken out by that Viking, and he has no idea what's coming his way.
Exactly, and the SCV, keep in mind, the SCV count will be fairly low for this. This is a pretty committed build, but these Marauders and Hellbots are just so tough to deal with without any Banelings. They're 3 morphing, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Already losing a Queen, losing 2. Oh no.
Oh god, 2 queens already going down. It doesn't look like there's enough energy for transfuses either. Sure, there are 4 Banelings, but we'll see how good the splits are.
Yeah, it's a really nice micro by Disrespect to just like avoid taking basically any damage, and these Hellbats are on top of the Queens. Medivac does get focused down, but still, this is just so much Terran here, and there's just, I don't think nearly enough Banelings. There are 2 more morphing, but like, is this really going to be enough? I don't think 2 Banelings are going to, unless you get like the juicy 6 on the planet, I'm not sure this will be enough.
I mean, the Baneling's not even going to finish up. Only 1 left. Oh, it just barely does finish, but again, like, it gets focused out, doesn't even connect.
Yeah, really nice job by Disrespect once again, that micro, and then sieging up the Liberator on the ramp. There's really not that much that can be done here. Baneling's going to try, and they're going to not do anything. And well played by Disrespect, taking game number 2 and bringing us to game number 3, the first of the day.
Oh yeah, GG, well played. I love it. I didn't want this to be too one-sided, especially because of how unfortunate game 1 turned out for him. But so far, like, it's kind of been scouting, the lack of scouting, that's really been hurting both players here in game 1 and game 2.
Yeah, scouting is indeed very, very important, and like, it's just doing like, I would not hate to see an Overlord speed build out of ScrubbleS here in this next game, just to like confirm exactly everything that's going on, go for all the scouting and just try and like, oh, I know everything, so what are you gonna really do to me?
Yeah, definitely. I know personally, like, that's my go-to. I mean, to be fair, like, at the highest level of play, you do want to cut corners sometimes, right? You know, you want to, invest your resources in a certain direction, but at the same time, like, that lack of scouting, it hurts so much.
Yes, it just, it's a bit painful sometimes when it's like you are so close to greatness and you just like don't quite get there. But hey, we've got a whole new game, a whole new map, and a whole new set of players that we, and a whole new same set of players, sorry, that we do need to introduce.
That we do, as we are tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. This is it. This is the ace match, and in the bottom right, we have the yellow Zerg player representing Risen from the Gosu. It is ScrubbleS.
And in the top left-hand corner, it is the blue Terran player playing for Intensity. He is Disrespect.
Oh boy, and I love the lighthearted like banter between these two. F's in the chat, ScrubbleS, unfortunately he undermade Banelings.
Yes, it's a chronic problem. You really need those safety Banelings, and just like not holding down that B key is something that affects Zerg players everywhere. As we do have some fairly standard builds by the looks of it from both our players, so maybe another third base out of ScrubbleS. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah,
really, that was his downfall. Like, let's be real here. Oh god, you can't share that on stream. Not on Twitch. Oh god.
Yes, luckily he misspelled it, so we're all right. Oh no. Some interesting conversations happening here in the chat between these two.
Oh god. We didn't think of this. We may have to censor the chat. Oh god.
I don't have a censor the chat button in 30 minutes as minor spoiler for later. Yeah, no, I would be going back to what you said a bit earlier, I definitely agree. Third base is really what cost ScrubbleS that game. If he had just been going 2-base Muta the whole time, and there's no way the Marauder Hellbat attack kills him, ignoring the fact that he'd spend all his gas on Mutas instead of Banelings, but you know.
Yeah.
Small thing.
Definitely, as things are slowly starting to ramp up here, we'll see if ScrubbleS does decide to stay on 2 bases a little bit longer or goes for that expansion. Actually, Disrespect, there we go, the Reaper is about to come in.
Dance we see, this Reaper, the dance we see so often. Does he actually get a Ling? Does not look like it. ScrubbleS, nice job pulling back and really zoning out that Reaper, especially with the Queen. But that creep tumor goes down, and that's like such a well-played creep tumor. I don't think any sane Terran would die for that, because you really want to keep this Reaper alive for the Hellions.
Oh yeah.
Losing it for maybe a creep timber isn't really the play.
And unfortunately, Disrespect did lose his SCV earlier, so he wasn't there to block and deny that third base, as ScrubbleS does get it up on location.
Yes, really nice job by ScrubbleS here to get that third base up. And yeah, he's really just droning hard. This looks like entirely standard. Like, you could tell me, oh, yeah, this is just like any random European like pro or semi-pro, and I'd like probably believe you. At least for the first 3 minutes of the game. But you know, I'm curious to see where things may or may not fall apart, because Disrespect, if one thing, is very good with his early small groups of units.
Oh yeah. Speaking of early small groups of units, once again, it's not quite the same as the previous game, as there is no concussive shell, but we do have that armory hidden away in that main base.
Yes, and we do have a couple of Marines here to shoo down this Overlord, which will be nice. And hopefully the Overlord, at least for Disrespect, the Overlord does not scout the armory, but it's going to be very, very close.
He sees it.
Barely. Just barely, which is, you know, less than ideal. It is very, very close. But, you know, there's still Hellions and Hellbats to be made. And so this is a fairly dangerous build, regardless of the fact that it was scouted, but still making the Baneling Nest. Although I don't see a Baneling Nest.
Yeah, this
might be a bit easier.
Yeah, this is terrifying. As you said, there is no Baneling Nest, despite scouting the armory, so he's going to try it. Well, ScrubbleS is going to attempt to defend with just Queens and Lings.
Oh no, he's getting a lair in an Evo chamber. I am not sure about this one, Light. I really think you need like a spine crawler or something, because this just makes me so nervous. I think he might have to just completely give up the third here.
Did he just like not see it? Like, did his Overlord see, but he didn't check on the minimap? Like, it's quite possible. We'll see how much damage these Hellbats are going to do.
Yeah, as the Lings try and get a nice run, they do get like quite a good number of the Marines, but still these like Hellbats are dealing quite a lot of Ling deaths, and the Queens, like, they're not entirely going down. But so that's like a lot of dead Zerg there. This Queen might just barely survives, but a lot of Lings are streaming across the map. I don't know, like, I thought that was just such well done attack with ScrubbleS. Was like cool, calm, so yeah, I'll just throw Lings into the grinder and win. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. As okay, I was a little bit concerned that the wall was not a wall, as the Lings do get across the map. They're denying the third base, but it looks like they're not going to be able to do too much more than that. Actually, ScrubbleS, he made a pretty insane amount of Lings there.
And that's actually ludicrous. Something like 27 Lings, geez. As these two Hellions are like maybe gonna get away. There's so many Lings chasing them though. I don't know about that one. I might just give up on those Hellions, because that's just, you know, quite a large number. As the Lings do start to, you know, dance around a bit and are heading across the map again, but you know, they're Marines, a full wall. As long as this third CC doesn't lift up, I feel like Disrespect will be relatively okay here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm really curious to see what the lair exactly was for, as ScrubbleS did get it relatively quickly, but so far we don't see any lair tech being taken quite yet.
Yes, no, that lair tech, usually, like, you might be going for, oh, I'll just get, like, a really fast Baneling speed, and then, like, if he's doing an aggressive 2-base push, or 3-base push in this case, and I'll have, like, Baneling with Baneling speed ready for it, but this time around, there's just, like, nothing. The Baneling Nest was super late. He's getting upgrades at the very least, but still, like, this lair, bit confused. Maybe just, like, to have it, so you, like, it's there.
I'm going to make a bold claim, and I'm going to assume that he forgot his Baneling Nest. And it was meant to be thrown down a lot earlier. I don't know, but yeah, we do see that so far the lair hasn't been utilized quite yet.
As the Baneling Nest is finally finishing, as we do see a Hydra Den, it will be the tech of choice. Tucked away in the natural base. As an Overseer getting into Scout. Lots of racks going up for Terran and Disrespect. I feel like Disrespect's in a really nice position, although I would be worried if he doesn't like start making tanks or like see the Hydras anytime soon.
Yeah,
because if he switches to mines, that's very bad.
Definitely. I do like the diversity and the versatility that ScrubbleS is showing though, because, you know, previously in this series we saw him go mutas, and now he's switching things up and going Hydras, so maybe this is something that Disrespect isn't expecting.
Exactly. As we have combat shields finishing, as a big group of Marines stim into the main base and are starting to get drone kills, which is really, really nice. Although we might lose the medevac here. It is fairly red, and that is such a beautiful position. As the Marines load up after getting a bunch of kills, and will live to fight another day. Barely. I thought I jinxed it.
Oh god, that was so close. You could see the Queen's beelining to intercept the medevac, but it just barely escaped.
Yes, 10 hit points, like 1 or 2 more Queen shots, and that was a dead medevac. is do have 2-2 for ScrubbleS on the way, which is very nice. Baneling speed finishing up, and we've got some Hydra upgrades on the way. So ScrubbleS is going to be in a very nice position here in like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Probably less than that. I don't know how long upgrades take. 2 minutes, I think, maybe. We'll just keep saying numbers, and eventually one of them will be right.
Yeah, sometime this game, the upgrades will finish up for ScrubbleS, and when they do, he's going to be looking in a really nice position. Meanwhile, Disrespect is looking to drop over here on the left-hand side. I really do want to take a moment to appreciate the creep spread of ScrubbleS. It's looking pretty good so far.
Yes, I was gonna comment, but the game ended. I feel like ScrubbleS creep spread has been like not the best. Like it's been pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but it's been like it could have been better. It's these 4 Banelings rolling into the middle line.
Oh god!
Oh no! Oh no! 12 SCVs going down. That is quite a large number, as just the wall wasn't there. So we do have Marines at the third base getting some Baneling hits, but like that was not nearly as equal damage. Creep spread clearing is nice, but you really don't want to be losing like a whole bunch of SCVs, especially when your whole game plan is just like to multi-prong your opponent to death.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Disrespect is doing the best he can with these drops, as he does, try and drop here in the main base, does drop at the third. At the same time, there is a drop over on the left-hand side looking to clear some creep, but at the end of the day, like, he isn't dealing anywhere near as much damage as he just took by those Banelings.
Exactly, and a lot of the Marines have been cleaned up at this point, and just the creep spread is looking so nice. Just for Disrespect, I don't know, he's gonna have to he's ahead in supply, which is good, but I feel like it's really gonna come down to his push with his +2, since I feel like he forgot +2 armor, or maybe he queued both. It's with Disrespect, I'm a bit worried as we do finally see the massive move out start to occur, and so we're gonna see what this can get done.
Yeah, what's very interesting, and I mean, we took note of it earlier, is that oh my god, as Banelings do get focused down, there isn't that many factory units here in this composition. He's moving out with 2 tanks here.
2 tanks, 1 Widow Mine, and a Dream. Because for this many Marines, I feel like you really need factory units to make it viable, like your long-term push. But that's just such a huge flank. I am so worried for this push here.
Oh boy,
especially because there's no creep clearing at all.
Definitely. You could argue that maybe ScrubbleS doesn't have enough Banelings at the moment, but he recognizes that, he's morphing in as many as he can, and right now Disrespect is giving him the time to morph in those Banelings.
Exactly, Disrespect, he's just kind of sitting here trying to maybe clear creep, I don't know. But I don't know what he's up to, because you need to do something, or you can just wait here and see if he throws away units. Eventually all the units do come in. That is so many Banelings. And Hydras, jeez, this flank wraps everything dies except the medevacs.
Oh my god.
Really scary to see.
Exactly. The surround was beautiful from ScrubbleS. He engaged that almost perfectly, was able to clean up that army. Thankfully, Disrespect does have some reinforcements, so he isn't done quite yet. It looks like he was trying to drop over on the right-hand side as well, but it does get cleaned up, and Disrespect, he wasn't even able to clear creep with that push.
And a couple of random SCVs going down on the other side of the map, but with Disrespect, he really is. He's getting a 4th base at the very least, but he's really not looking good. I feel like he's forgotten his armor upgrade again.
Yeah.
Yes, and just upgrades are really going to be what decides this game. Because if you're down 2 upgrades, depending on when Zerg starts their 3-3, of course, it's so hard to come back from that.
Definitely. It's possible that maybe his second engineering bay isn't hotkeyed properly or something like that, so when he's going to do the upgrades it isn't popping up. I don't know, it's hard to say, but it's definitely going to hurt him as the game gets longer and longer. I mean, thankfully he is working on +3, and right now ScrubbleS is still stuck on 2-2.
Exactly. We do have some Vipers coming out of ScrubbleS, so there's some high tech there, but all these Banelings are just barely getting the deeper wall up in time. That was really close. Because we do have another drop heading out, and Disrespect is going to try and see if we can get some creep clearing, or maybe even a cancel on a cheeky 5th base here. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it could definitely work, especially because the creep spread isn't on the left-hand side of that base. So maybe he can find some damage, but the main army of ScrubbleS isn't too far away.
Yeah, so ScrubbleS really doing a nice job of positioning his army well. I feel like what might be nice is, oh no, is he just moving out from that? That's the worst spot for luck or Disrespect here. That's not what you want to see. You really want to ideally maybe have the army to the other side, maybe trying to poke at your 4th while you go and cancel this base nicely for the Terran player. But I was saying we got more drops moving out, so maybe he can draw that army out of position with this drop. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
as his creep spread just so far forward.
I was about to say the same thing. Like, it's so difficult to pull that off, right? Because the creep spread, it's past the halfway point. You know, it's getting into like the 5th base locations of the Terran player. Like, it's gonna be so difficult to get anything past the vision of ScrubbleS.
Exactly. We do have these this drop and the one Marine chasing after these medevacs.
He was left behind.
Poor guy. They are boosting towards the main, and there's just oh no. Alright, so he does look. It looks like he gets out this time, but like, oh man, that's so unlucky. Or does he? No, there's queens.
Made the
Did I curse him?
He can yoink. He can yoink the medevacs if they don't escape. Oh god, they just barely boost away.
So he's gonna unload and try again. There's just such a big army here. Like, I feel so bad for the Terran player here. He's gonna have to like wait for like proper late game with like Ghost Lib or something. Because like, how do you engage into this? How do you attack?
Yeah,
as either player really.
Oh boy, as we do even have vehicle weapon upgrades on the way, when still we don't have the +2 armor for the bio. +3 did just finish up, so Disrespect does have that upgrade going for him at least.
Yeah, so we do have some Zerg 3/3 upgrade going, and that so many queens going down. And this army looks to be like mostly cleared up, but is it going to really be in position for? Oh wait, I forgot. There's some Hydras in the main base. Disrespect unable to drop.
Mate, shout out to ScrubbleS, like showing off that he does an all army hotkey, because these Hydras have been here almost the entire game.
Yes, these Hydras really putting in the work, denying like 3 drops at this point, maybe. Quite a large number, as this is a very scary army. That's a lot of bandings morphing, very close to the Terran 4th.
Oh boy,
I am a bit scared.
Yeah, definitely. Disrespect, like, to be fair, like, he has a pretty fortified defensive position. He's got a decent amount of tanks. He's got his sensor towers up as well. But the problem is that, you know, ScrubbleS, he's going to be looking to just contain his opponent to 4 bases. It's going to be so difficult for Disrespect to really expand out of this corner of the map.
Exactly. We do have a really nice fight taken here by Disrespect at the 5th base of Zerg. And it looks like this 6th base does get killed, not canceled. That's really nice.
Wow.
And there he goes. He's finally getting started on that infantry upgrade on the same eBay that's been upgrading everything else. I believe he did forget those the hotkey. Second eBay of his. Yeah. Must be it.
I should
5th
say
base finally going down. I really like this. I like the 5th base, but ultras are on the way, and that is terrifying.
Exactly. Ultras are in production. The army's here to meet the 5th base as well. Oh my god. To be fair, like, there's a lot of Terran here.
That's a lot of Terran, a lot of Zerg. Those banelings get like basically nothing done, and this PF or this CC is going to become a PF. And I feel like Disrespect is in a nice position, but on the other side, there's a massive attack at the 3rd base.
Oh god.
So many things getting in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Disrespect, he's out of position. His entire army was over on the right-hand side, and that left his left-hand side so vulnerable. As 7 SCVs go down, forces a lift up, and yeah, the Lings are even getting into the natural.
Yes, then the Marauders are on move command. They're not quite attacking. The wall isn't even there. CCs are going down to Hydras, and Disrespect is really not looking to be in the position that he wanted to be. It looked so nice. It's like, oh, you got a 5th base, get some Liberators set up, and like eventually you will like really play a long game. But with these Marines and not quite being in position, Disrespect loses a CC and like quite a lot of his tanks.
That he does, as this drop doesn't clean up in the center of the map, and I just don't feel like Disrespect can really move out at the moment. The Ultras, they're out, the upgrades are done as well. Maybe there's an opportunity, because to be fair, there aren't a lot of banelings.
There are not a lot of banelings, but there's just this big flank coming from 2 sides. It's starting to funnel in one way, but oh, that's a beautiful blinding cloud there. And ScrubbleS with that blinding cloud destroys the army and wins game number 3 and the series.
Gee.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is a lot of subs. I just noticed.
GG, well played. The game was pretty intense there towards the end, so I apologize, but thank you so much, Lord Loken, for not just resubbing, but also all those gifted subs.
Yes. And well, that was a very, very fun first series. Poor Disrespect, not quite getting. He even says in the chat that was not how he wanted that game to go. But you know, these things happen, and we'll have to see how maybe in his other games he can make a comeback.
Yeah, definitely. He even clarified, like, honestly, I think this is the first time I've ever had 3-1 playing Bio. Feels bad.
Yeah.
Oh god, but but yeah, hopefully, Disrespect does redeem himself later on today, as again this is a round robin group, so we still got plenty of matches.
Yes, I Disrespect. He still has Kozan and mLty to play, and so those two games will be interesting. We'll have to wait and see, because next up I do believe it is mLty versus Kozan, in another very exciting TVZ, arguably the best matchup.
Oh yeah, it is the matchup of the day, as we are going to see the other two players that are in this group. But again, congratulations to ScrubbleS. I think he did look really good there, like kind of getting into the swing of things. He started off being really cheeky in game one, but I feel like he was really able to show off throughout that entire series, like the wide range of his play.
Exactly, and I'm curious to see if that range will continue, if he'll keep the variety going, or if it'll just be the three builds on repeat. We'll have to wait and see, as we do have Death Aura for our first game that I am very excited to see how these two players treat this map.
Oh yeah, definitely. As here we go. I believe for the very first time we have casted Kozan before, but here in the top left hand corner of Death Aura, debuting here on the CranKy Ducklings Twitch channel, we have, representing Team Alpha X, the American Zerg, mLty.
And her opponent today in the bottom right hand corner, representing IAC, give it up for Kozan.
Oh boy, and I'm really excited to see. I know we were talking about it a little bit before the broadcast, but what can mLty bring here to the table, as she is a pretty avid streamer, but when it comes to the competitive scene, I haven't seen too much from her.
Yeah, I agree. mLty is just not a player I have seen too much in. This is a very interesting way to start. Hatch first at the rich Vespene gas base. What is this?
Mate, okay, so I do want to quickly mention, I recommend everyone checking out the VODs for ESL Open Cup Americas this week. We saw this very same thing happen on this map, but it was a Protoss player taking this base, and as you can imagine, if it's a Protoss player taking it, that rich Vespene gas is so much more valuable. We'll see what mLty has in store for us here.
I wonder if there's gonna be like some weird Ravager build. Because what are you really going to do with the extra gases? Right. The SCP Scout's going out from Kozan, so he's going to see, hey, something's amiss. And I don't think it's a pool first, but it might be. Depends on when the SCP gets there.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting.
Definitely. We'll see again. I have to imagine it's going to be roaches, because again, you have to hit quick with this, right? Like, you can't get Lair and then get Spire and things of that nature. It's going to take far too long, and you're going to be found out by that point.
Exactly, because really there's no natural, and there's not an attack coming right now, so there aren't that many things it can be from our Terran players. He does see the drone heading off to who knows where. I wonder if Kozan actually noticed that drone, or if it just will slip his mind. We'll have to wait and see, as oh no, the Reaper finding the base right away. That's not what you want.
Boy, F's in the chat. This is the worst case scenario for mLty. Somehow, some way, Kozan knew to go and check in this location. I have to imagine if she maybe does this quite frequently on the ladder.
Maybe it must be something like that, because Kozan immediately sent the Reaper up here, scouted. Oh, there's no natural. Let's check what's going on over here, as one of the drones does start to nearly go down. Is mLty just mining from the space? I can just casually take this is the natural.
The weird part is that she hasn't taken the gases yet, right? And I feel like that's the point of taking the space.
I agree with you, because I totally thought so you take the natural or the rich gas, you put 3 drones on it right away, you get a roach run on the way, and then you attack the Raptors. I thought that was a play. It's something I do something similar occasionally, only I used to do it on Romanticide, I think the map is called. The one with the mineral wall by the third base. But regardless, this is just interesting. She finally takes it. This is so much later than I thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely. And the curious thing is that, sure, she's taking it, but we still don't see a Roach Horn, we don't see a Baneling Nest, we don't see what the tech of choice is going to be. We don't see what, okay, there we go. The Roach Horn does finally get started.
Yes, that's just, I feel like this is a bit later than you would want. And oh no, so many drones going down. These Hellions, they get 3, and they cause so much lost mining time. That's really less than ideal. The Queens do eventually clean things up, but like with 2 Hellions getting drone damage and having to pull for that long, it's a bit iffy, man.
I think what's going to shut this down, we have a Liberator on the way. Just siege up behind the mineral line, like, it's going to be so difficult for the Queens to deal with it. If the Queens do, like, maneuver around to deal with it, then the Hellions can just dive in, and as I say that, the Hellions, they go in once again.
As the drones have to be pulled. Luckily, there are a couple of Lings there to, like, tank a couple of shots, and the Queens do eventually come back, but like losing so much mining time again, losing a couple of drones. Is this really how you want the game to be going? Because I don't think so, because as roaches are finally on the way, we are getting units here primed for a big attack. But is mLty going to be able to do too much with it there? Because there's just so much here from Kozan, just like army-wise. I don't know if this is going to be what you want, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like if, for example, that Liberator goes back home and is used defensively. At home, there is that wall. To be fair, there aren't any factory units, like there isn't a tank or anything of that nature for the defense. So maybe mLty can make something happen.
Yes, maybe, as you do have a Liberator sieging in the main base, as Hellions are also diving, sprinting towards that main base, but there are Ravagers in the way to deny that from them. And the Lings maybe trying to get us around, getting a couple of cheeky Hellion kills. And eventually the Liberator will be cleaned up, but like, man, just mLty's attack has been stalled out so long. I am somewhat nervous.
Yeah, it's been stalled out, it's been scouted, right? Like, Kozan is doing the best job that he can at delaying this push for as long as possible. I did just notice that mLty has been spreading creep pretty well, and it does mean that the Queens are going to be a part of this engagement.
Yes, and so the Liberator's going to 100% shut this down, you know, because the Queens will be able to shoot them down, as well as the Ravagers. But like, so this is just not really what you want to be seeing. These Hellions, they dive behind the wall. And these Ravagers are going to have their work cut out for them. And as mLty begins her siege, the natural, and oh, the first bunker going down. That's not what you want out of this.
Yeah, nicely done. There are a lot of Ravagers here. There are a lot of vials available to them, as the second bunker is going to go down as well. And Kozan evacuates his natural.
As Kozan having to run up to the main base and like pull some stuff, as there's a siege down on the ramp to try and stall this out for longer. But that's going to get attempted to bow down. He does dodge it, but man, this natural base is forfeit. And there are just so many roaches and Ravagers here.
Oh god, and the Bio's going to take that lib. Oh, does take a couple of shots, but the lib still survives.
As we do have a tank sieging up, starting to shell down on those roaches with the Queens. They force their way up the ramp. There's just so much like Terran here. This is absolute chaos in the main base. Can Kozan hold?
I mean, unfortunately, the Queens are a bit of a detriment to the main army because they're just taking up so much surface area. The Lings and the Ravagers are having a hard time breaking in. All the Queens go down, the Lings are going down, and the Ravagers, oh god, they're trying to deal some damage.
Yes, 26 SCVs have gone down. More Lings are flooding in. But like, I just don't think you're quite able to bile the lid down. It eventually does go down, but not until after literally all the Ravagers die. So 27 SCVs. Do you think this is enough, or do you think that mLty really has to kill her opponent here?
I mean, we're in this really weird situation. Honestly, I'm so impressed by the amount of damage that mLty was able to get done. Like, her biles were on point, the Liberator got taken out, the tank got taken out as well. But what's scary is that Kozan, he's on triple CCs. He's on triple orbitals. Like, that's a lot of mules.
Yes, that is indeed quite a lot of mules and quite a lot of SCVs. And Kozan will very, very quickly, I feel like, catch up to mLty's SCV count, and keeping up with that army production. This is just so scary to be the Terran here, because I don't know about the medevac. I'd maybe get like a Banshee or something, but with no tech lab, that medevac does make some sense, as more bunkers are starting to go down here. Kozan trying to rebuild in his natural.
I mean, he needs to, because mLty is getting ready for round 2. And again, like, the defenses have been pretty crippled for Kozan, basically reset, as the backbone of his defense is going to be that one tank. That's such a big target for those biles. So there is a way for mLty to still shut this down.
Yes, exactly. Though that tank is on the high ground, and I don't believe there are any overlords nearby, so mLty will have to wait just a bit. As she's building up quite a large army once again, nearing doubling her opponent's supply, as Kozan is finally basically caught up in workers.
Yeah, exactly. The power of 3 CCs, right? Like, if he was only on 2, or if like maybe the natural was destroyed, then maybe mLty would be in such a better position. But here we go, she's getting ready for round 2. That's a lot of Ravagers.
That is so many Ravagers. The Marines stim. The Ravagers starting to pile down. The bunker gets completely destroyed. And some flanking Hellions are not long for this world. But there's, like, I don't know, there's like the tank on the high ground. More tanks are coming. And they're just, this is going to be such an interesting attack. We'll have to see how this goes as they start to shove into the natural base. And massive supply block here for Kozan. That's not what you want right when you're being attacked.
Yeah, as that happens, the second tank does show up, but immediately gets piled down.
Nice job out of mLty. There's an overload, but immediately the overload gets sniped, and mLty trying to do something does get the second tank as well. But this is just such a scary spot to be in. Trying to bile down the natural CC. It starts to burn down, which is nice, but still, like, this is so many stim Marines, and Marines do damage so quickly, especially with SCVs being pulled. More biles going down. Getting a medevac as well.
Those biles, they didn't just get a medevac, they got like half the Marines, and now all the Marines are going to go down, and that's going to be it for the army of Kozan.
18 SCVs go down. The CC nearly burns down, and GG, well done by mLty to take game number 1. Really, what a build. That was such an interesting game.
I can hear it in your voice right now. You're saving the replay. You're like, I'm taking this. Like, this looks great. Yes. I'm gonna try this out on the ladder.
Yes, no, don't mind me. I'm gonna steal that, and you might see that next time I play in a tournament. Because what a build. That was so interesting.
Yeah. Like, I think we've really underestimated the power of those high yield gases, because to be fair, it took a long time for mLty to get into the swing of things. But once she got going, once she got that base fully saturated, like the pure amount of Ravagers that she was producing was insane.
You know, absolutely ludicrous numbers of Ravagers. At one point, she doubled her opponent's supply as well. And it was still like a fairly even game, but just so many Ravagers. I am very curious to see what happens in game number 2.
Definitely. I think the least I can say is I'm inspired by that build. That was crazy. Like, the next game is going to be on Romanticide. There's an opportunity to do something very similar here as well.
Yes, exactly. I believe I mentioned it very briefly. There's a mineral wall and like a rich Vespene geyser, and so there's a build that I like to do. It's I hit like with just roaches. I take my opponent's rich gas and I mine through the minerals, and I with that gas and I just spam roaches from right there. And it's pretty fun, but from here, I'm curious to see if mLty will try for something similar to that. We'll take her own gas, or we'll just like maybe play standard. We don't know.
Yeah, regardless, we shall find out as we are loading in to Romanticide LE. This is game 2 in this best of 3, and here in the bottom right, we have the player who is currently leading this series 1-0, the American Zerg player. Representing Alpha X, it is mLty.
And in the upper left-hand corner, playing for Icy, give it up for the green Terran player of Kozan.
I'm still trying to get over that last game.
You know, I am the same way. I'm going over that build in my head, thinking like, okay, like it was a 17 hatch just at the rich gas bases, and so many decisions.
Yeah. Like, I'm also thinking of like what Kozan could have done as well, because maybe going for Liberators wasn't the play. You mentioned it earlier, but like maybe something like Banshees would have been a much stronger defense, especially after the initial wave of Queens were dealt with. Just consistently peeking away at those Ravagers.
Yes, the one downside about Banshees is it will take quite a while for that cloak to finish, and so maybe Kozan was thinking, oh, I'm not sure if like I really want to spend the time to like get a tech lab and cloak and really wait for all that, whereas there might be Queens marching right there, especially since the creep was not that far off of the from the natural. But like, I don't know, it's like that was such an interesting game.
Definitely. Really well done there by mLty with that very map-specific build on Death Aura. But here on Romanticide, there is an opportunity. We do have more rich Vespene gases, but only one, not two, like on that map.
Exactly. This map is a bit less rich for the Rich Vespian Geysers. And we do see, unfortunately, this isn't a, yeah, I'm just going to take my Rich Vespian or your Rich Vespian Geyser right away sort of thing. I'm just going to take the natural for mLty in both players. And so somewhat of a more normal game starting to shape up in front of us today.
Yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I'm curious. We were talking about how we haven't really seen much of mLty in competitive play. If we get into a more standard game, we'll see what she has to offer for us.
Exactly. And, you know, speaking of standard, I really like this very, very quick layer here out of mLty. I'm very curious what it's going to be. If she's going to go for mutas or if it's like maybe some weird Nidus lurker play. There are a couple of options here. But traditionally, it is 2-base Muta, and that is unironically one of my favorite builds to play in Scenes. We'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep an eye on those gases to see if they all do get taken for that 2-base Spire play. Otherwise, a Nidus is also potentially an option. But again, like there is no other tech available here, and obviously mLty is skipping on that link speed to get that faster layer.
Exactly. And that link speed not being there is like a little bit of a struggle because like sometimes some Terran players will like really rush out like 4 Hellions and a Reaper and just like dive bomb your mineral line. And without link speed, that can be sometimes a bit difficult to deal with. But this Reaper is getting in. I'm really seeing everything. Sees both the gases have been taken. Sees the layer that's building. Layer's now done. And the Reaper is barely going to sneak out on red hit points, but still. Not Spire.
Oh, okay, interesting. So, as you said, I'm really impressed that Kozan was able to keep that Reaper alive, and that Reaper did get a lot of scouting information. It saw the gases, it saw the lair, but as you said, like, this still does kind of look like 2-base Muta, when it's anything but that.
Exactly. I think like making eBay and turrets is probably like one of the worst decisions you can make right now, because I feel like there's going to be like lurkers of some kind. And lurkers are pretty good units. And we do have like some upgrades going and regular hydras. Is this just like a Hydra link bust? Like what is this? I'm so curious.
Yeah, I assume so. The problem is that again, there's no link speed, there are barely any units, so these Hellions are gonna get a lot of damage done.
Diving the mineral line, everything has to be pulled as 5 drones go down, and they are starting to dive towards the main base. mLty trying to wall it off as 8 go down in total, as well as basically all the Zerglings. That is really not what you want to trade like as the Zerg player.
Yeah, definitely. That's some heavy losses there, unfortunately. Part of me almost wishes that, like, if you go for a build like this, maybe it's worth throwing down the Evos at the natural to, like, help make a wall, and then you have, like, your Queens to help supplement that. Again, like, very little defense there, and a lot of damage done by those Hellions.
Those Hellions doing quite a lot, and scaling the main base, finally seeing Hydras. What is this? Like, did I miss lurkers or something somewhere? Because if you check the vision, I would definitely, a Terran player, think like, oh, there's a Hydra den, but who goes just like 2-base Hydra? Like, I'm not a Protoss player who rushed the Sky Toss. What is going on here?
Let me introduce you, my friend, to a player known as mLty in Southeast Asia. He's the only other player I know who does this, and to his detriment, we always talk about it. mLty, he loves going Ling Hydra in ZVT. For whatever reason, he avoids going Banelings. And it's impressive to see when it works, but it can also be really shut down because of that lack of AoE damage, right? Because of the lack of the Banelings.
Exactly. Just that AoE from Zerg. The Banelings force is so much like micro and attention from the Terran player that I really feel like you need some sort of AoE as Star Killer is another player, as just sort of points out, that does this sort of thing. Yeah. And we do have a 2/2 and an infestation funnel. It's just like really fast ultras, like a Ling Hydra ultra. Like
I have to assume that this infestation pit is going to. So what mLty does is he goes Ling Hydra Infester, and he relies on fungals instead of the Banelings.
Well, that's a very interesting way to play that out. That's not something I would really suspect, because like generally speaking, like Banelings are my mass area of effect thing, and I'll just get my infestation pit really as just a gateway to Hive to get Hive units, and we do have a Hive on the way, but like still infestors are definitely a very interesting possibility, and I'd love to see that out of mLty today, see what she can do with them.
Yeah, the Hive is really throwing me off. maybe she's instead of opting to go for Infestors, she wants to go into Vipers instead for Blinding Clouds. I'm really curious what she has in store for us. I'm not too sure.
You know, I've just been like, this game has been a treat. I've been confused basically the whole time, and it is really fun to see what these players are doing. As we do have finally some medevacs going out to go drop, as there's quite a large amount of Terran here sitting at the third base. And so I feel like since Kozan is really immune from counterattacks here, that like dropping is not a bad play, especially considering there isn't that much creep, relatively speaking.
Yeah, you could even argue that maybe he should have dropped a while ago. Like he's been slowly banking up a pretty decent army, and he hasn't really been able to do much with it whatsoever. So now finally we have a drop coming out, looking to try and clear up some vision. You know, maybe deny some of this creep.
Yeah, getting a couple of overload kills there, which is nice, and trying to get on this fourth base, but it's getting shooed away by this large group of Hydras, as maybe it'll head towards the natural base here. As it does hide off, but there are a couple of Hydras here just trying to shoo them away as another scan of the main base goes down. And Kozan's seeing that high.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he sees the tech, he's still probably like got a confused look on his face. He's like, what am I seeing right now? Like, what?
Yes, this is just like such an interest. Like, there's not even really, there's like 3-3 on the way, which is very nice. It's always good to see upgrades, especially when Zerg is ahead of them. But man, this is just such a scary push out of Terran, and there's no real hive tech yet for mLty. And most importantly, there's like no splash damage at all. It's basically pure Hydra.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Finally, here we go. I was like, is the hive really just for upgrades? Vipers are finally on the way. But you know what? The problem is that Kozan, he's already here. He's already pushing into the fourth.
Right now, these Marines are already getting lots of worker kills and a base kill. It goes down. There's a nice flank here out of mLty. The siege tanks are just shelling away, and all the Hydras are basically getting obliterated by the Marines in the tanks. Not good. GG. Well done by Icebound's Kozan. Take game number 2.
Yeah, GG. I'm sure even after winning that game, he's like, what?
Yeah, no, that's just, that one was a head scratcher for sure.
Like I like the ideas of what mLty was doing, but it did feel like there was a piece missing there. It was, whether it was banlings or whether it was infestors or what have you, whatever supporting unit, regardless, she needed something to help complement that Hydra army.
Exactly, because like Hydras are a pretty good unit, but like you need something like maybe even lurkers would have been like a pretty good choice, but like I just like pure Hydra against Marine tank, like I don't think is quite the ideal way to engage into that sort of Terran, because like, that was a very interesting game regardless. And you know, we do have a third game, and so mLty does have another chance to show us something very interesting.
Oh yeah.
So curious to see. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say that so far I haven't been disappointed. Like, game 1 and game 2 have been amazing. They've at least been entertaining. I can't wait to see what happens here on Lightshade.
Exactly. And Lightshade is a bit of a smaller map, and I believe this is a map that's a bit better for the maybe the Ling Hydra style. Like if I had to say a map I would go Ling Hydra on, I'd probably choose this one, since it's relatively small and you can pretty easily get around and cause flanks and things. But we should maybe introduce our players first.
That we shall. As spawning in the top left, we have the American Zerg player reigning? What? Representing Team Alpha X, currently tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. What the hell does she have in store for us? It is mLty.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, the Terran player playing for Icebound Esports in the green. Give it up for Kozan.
All right, so we've seen a ninja base from mLty. We've seen 2 base Hydra. What do we see now? What are you thinking?
2 base Ultra. That's my if I had to predict something, I think that's gonna be the next one.
Ooh, okay.
Right, and my reasoning behind this is it's 2 base. You make the Hydra, but you don't actually make any Hydras. You just get a hive into Ultras. So when he scans, it's like, oh, it's the same thing. She's going Hydras again. No, she's not. Since he spends so much time sitting back, I feel like that'd be a nice, really, really meta choice to go for. So mix things up, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'm hoping for 2-base Swarm Host.
2-base Swarm Host.
Bring it back, like slowly work on that. He scans, he sees the infestation pit, he doesn't know what's going on, like what's happening. It's so out of meta. There's potential.
Yeah. I'd love to see it. Traditionally speaking, Swarm Hosts are not the greatest units against Bio. Usually they favor a bit more versus mech. However, going for like really fast Swarm Hosts, I feel like has some really big potential, especially considering Terran players generally don't have a lot of Marines early on.
Definitely. But we'll wait and see what mLty has in store for us here in game number 3. Regardless, I love how she's, at least it seems like she's been really prepared for this series. Something quite different every single game. We'll see if it's something that's very map specific, map dependent, and we see more of it throughout the day in the rest of this group, or if she literally has something special prepared for every single player.
Yeah, maybe she's done a lot of prep work as this Reaper getting in, trying to get a drone, but not quite succeeding this time around. Maybe able to get one, but pull it away nicely, and the Reaper is forced out by those lanes. Really well done on Kozan's part to try and force some micro to mLty, and mLty for not losing anything was also really nice, as we do once again see a very, very fast layer.
Oh boy, and we have no idea what it's for. So we'll see what mLty has in store for us. This time, Kozan has not scouted the main base. He has not scouted the lair quite yet, but he is looking to dive in once again with that with that Reaper, but he has to be careful. The Lings are ready and waiting.
Yes, no, those Lings, really nice job. I believe there might be a very small hole. I'm not entirely 100% sure, but these Lings are very nicely positioned to try and deny any and all Reapers jumping up. As a Reaper, it's just kind of scouting around, looking to see what it can get done. I'll have to wait and see as it does try and dive in. Oh, just barely slipping by. That's unlucky.
God, and mLty was in position as well, so unfortunate. The Reaper gets in, scouts the lair.
So the lair is nice, but we still don't know what that means. It could be anything. Because usually I'd think it's high, it's like 2-base Muta. Obviously, but once again going for Hydra in the double Evo chamber, so maybe mLty feels like she has figured out exactly how to deal with what Kozan was doing last time.
Definitely, and so far I love the execution of this a little bit more. I was briefly mentioning it earlier, but now the tech structures, they're a part of the wall at the natural, so it's going to be so much harder for these Hellions to do damage, but he has to be careful. The Reaper can still grenade those queens out of position.
Yes, and so mLty does have to be very, very careful, but Kozan, deciding to play it safe, was just going to back up and let mLty get her upgrades and, maybe try and go for a slightly later game attack, as we do have more barracks going down before the 3rd CC from the Terran player, which is, a bit interesting. Usually speaking, you get the 3rd CC and then the barracks, but, there's still time for a regularly scheduled, macro game from our Terran hero over here.
Yeah. Kozan favoring to be a little bit more aggressive, focusing more on his army units as the Liberator does head into that main base. But nice pull away from those drones. The Hellions, they get into natural.
Oh no, the queens are slightly out of position and drones have to be pulled. 5 going down already with more to come. And really there's some Hydras and a queen here. And that's super unlucky. 12 workers going down. And poor mLty. GG, well played. I'm just losing too many workers. And that was so unlucky there out of mLty. She just was very slightly out of position with her queens, and then suddenly everything was gone. What a shame.
Yeah, GG. I mean, that's the purpose of what Kozan was going for, right? You siege up the Liberator, you pull the queens out of position, and then you dive in with your Hellions, the 1-2 punch, and mLty, she fell for it. There wasn't a wall at the natural. GG.
Yes. Unlucky. Maybe next time. That's that was so much. It was absolutely tragic. That was so much damage, and there's always a small chance that she did come back, but especially with the Hydra style that she was going for, I feel really losing any drones at all that early on is unfortunate, to maybe lack of a better word.
Yeah, definitely. It's just such a shame because even win or lose, I just wanted to see mLty get into her game. Like I wanted to see, like especially like maybe with a more refined style after game 2, like what could she really accomplish with this Hydra style? I was really curious. I was anticipating what would happen, and we were it was taken away from us.
So we were definitely let down. But it's okay, maybe I believe she still has another ZVT scheduled today, and so maybe in the next one we'll have a very interesting and exciting match for us to see as we are loading into the next series, I believe.
Yes, we are. We are going to be getting to the winner of both of the previous series. Of course, Kozan and ScrubbleS. They both looked pretty strong in their series respectively, but now they're going to be facing off against each other.
Yes, very interesting game. Do you have any predictions for how this series will go? Score-wise, what do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, I kind of favor maybe ScrubbleS a little bit. Like he looked pretty good against Disrespect. And ScrubbleS, the difference is that we got to see him in a longer macro game, right? That's something that we haven't really been able to see from our Terran.
Exactly. And speaking of ScrubbleS, the player that you are favoring in the top right, or the top left-hand corner, excuse me, representing Risen from the Ghost suit is the yellow player, ScrubbleS.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner is his opponent. We have the green Terran player representing Icebound Esports. It is Kozan.
For me, I will be the contrarian here, and I will say, I think Kozan's going to take this series, maybe 2-1.
Wow. Okay. We'll see what transpires here. Regardless, I hope to see another long macro game. It's something that, again, we didn't get to see Kozan in. I'm curious what he has to offer.
Kozan faced some really interesting builds, and so I'm hoping and so seeing more of that gameplay would be very, very nice, as everything looks to be standard from both sides so far, so nothing too weird, no hatcheries where they shouldn't be, and so it's looking like we might get that macro game you were talking about.
Oh yeah, no 4 racks or proxy racks at all, which I'm still holding out for. We talked about this at the beginning of the day. It's like, mate, we should see a proxy racks at some point in this group, but so far these Terrans they're playing very straight up.
Yeah, no, letting me down, Disrespect, has killed me so many times in our practice games with like proxy 2 racks that I am slightly let down that I haven't seen him at proxy 2 racks yet. But maybe in the next series, he does still have another Zerg to play and a Terran, so lots of opportunities to get the ideal build.
You hear that, Disrespect in the chat? Don't let us down. We're waiting for it.
Yes. The win rate of proxy 2 racks and 3 racks has to be absolutely insane in tournaments. I've never seen the strategy lose.
Exactly. To be fair, I haven't seen it at all, at least today. So 100% win rate as far as I can tell.
Yeah, exactly. And who doesn't want to play the 100% win rate strats? We do have a Reaper dive in, poke a little bit at the drones, and it look like it's gonna be doing not too much more. As always, you're gonna get just barely not quite getting it, and Kozan once again keeping that Reaper alive, getting out of there, dealing quite a bit of damage to one Ling and a drone, but like really, it isn't too terribly much. Nothing dies just yet.
Nothing quite yet, but this Reaper is still out here, out of the natural, and I'm just waiting for ScrubbleS. His third base is looking a little bit late, but there we go. The drone is on the way.
Yes, the Lings and the Queen coming to escort the drone. The Reaper just not quite able to deny that third base, but it is able to get 2 free Ling pickups, which is really nice, as we do have that third base going down, and on the other side of things, the starport and the swap on the reactor for some Hellions to join that Reaper, which is, very, very normal.
Yeah, so far we have a pretty straight up 1-1-1 coming out from Kozan. I imagine we're going to see the swap with the racks and the starport. We'll see what he has to offer for us. I mean, the standard thing is just go into Banshees. No more. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. Not going for the swap.
Liberator first is an interesting choice. It's not one I see too often. Usually when I see Terran players make a lib, it's usually after a Viking to clear up any overloads on this side of the map, just to try and deny a bit of vision. But, you know, it's a perfectly valid option and pretty good. I feel like it's fallen a bit out of the meta from what I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for Kozan against mLty, right? We saw how well it worked, how it gave an opportunity for those Hellions to dive into that natural. We'll see if it works against ScrubbleS.
Yes, as we do have these the two Hellions and the Reaper denying a creep team. We're getting a confirmation that, hey, the third base isn't like weirdly canceled or anything. We are indeed playing a normal-ish macro game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very early Baneling Nest.
Yeah, we have the Baneling Nest on the way. The Evas were delayed a little bit, but now they are finally in production as well. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Did you see Burrow started for a moment there?
Yeah, you know, I thought I saw Burrow, and I'm like, Burrow, like that's a really interesting way to start. But you know, it quickly disappeared. As we do have the speaking of Burrow, I bet these drones wish they could burrow, since we do have a Liberator coming to harass this mineral line here. We'll see how fast the pull away is. Ooh, that's not bad.
Yeah, only loses one. Yeah, one drone. Meanwhile, all the Hellions tried to dive into the third base, but the Lynx and Banelings were there to meet them.
Exactly, and the Queens eventually waddle on over, and so it's going to be a very, very tough cell coming in to clear this dive in. But that nice job backing up. I really like the play from Kozan, letting the Liberator harass a bit more while you just try and distract the Zerg more than anything else. Make you say, hey, come over here, I have units, I'm a big scary Terran player.
Yeah, and even though the Liberator was taken out and didn't get too many worker kills, it did deny a lot of mining there in that main base. So nicely done so far by Kozan.
That's really well done, as he is taking his third base now, and Stim is starting to finish up, so it's looking like he might be able to put on a bit of pressure with some double medevac drops, or he might stay back and wait for his combat shield and really a double medevac drop for 4 total, and quite a lot of Marines. We'll have to wait and see what he goes for.
Yeah, definitely, as he can hit a pretty strong timing with all of his upgrades on the way. Meanwhile, something interesting that I noticed from ScrubbleS, that's an interesting place to get a lair at his third base.
I was like, sorry, I was just very confused. I look over and I see it on my screen that there's a third base layer, but my brain is not quite catching up with that. Because we don't see this too terribly often. It is an interesting place for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that I guess it's safe from drops, since it's not in the main question mark, but at the same time, you typically expect a Terran player to push into the third as well. So very interesting decision there from ScrubbleS.
Yeah, no, ScrubbleS making some really interesting decisions. Well, this is just the day of interesting decisions by Zerg, as the base does get cancelled, and a tank getting picked off by some Lings and Banelings. But the Marines are in the main base, and they're going to be expecting, hey, where's that lair?
Yo, the mind games, right? He dives in, there's no lair, he must be scratching his head what's happening right now?
Yeah, and some pretty nice Baneling connections here. They do eventually all get gunned down by these Marines. Let's go more waddle over, and Kozan is forced to evacuate, as there is some Hellions at the third base, so he does now know that there are a layer at the third base.
Yes, he has the scouting information that he needs, and sure, these Hellions are going to get cleaned up, but they dealt some decent damage.
Now, that was a long time to be pulled away, and these Marines are once again stimming back in, maybe going to get another fourth base cancel, but this army is rushing over, so maybe not this time around.
Yeah, as he does only get an Overlord, but he picks up, dives back into that main base, and God, Kozan is just being so annoying, just constantly harassing ScrubbleS at every turn. Meanwhile, he's just macroing up into things, and I just noticed, Kozan, he's ahead in workers, he's got his mules, he's got his fourth base on the way, it may, okay, to be fair, ScrubbleS did finally get his up and running, but Kozan, macro-wise, he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, no, Kozan has really played a clean macro game. This looks very scary, and there is drilling claws in the way. And so Kozan looks to be switching into mines and hydras, by the looks of our other tech of choice, for our Zerg player. As this is a really nice back and forth fight. These siege tanks, doing a little bit of friendly fire, but lots of damage to that Ling Bane. You really can't quite, engage into that while they're sieged that far back.
Yeah, definitely. To be fair, there aren't that many Banelings, so there we go. All the Banelings get cleaned up, and that means the Marines can just stim on forward and continue to push into this fourth.
Yes, really nice job. Oh, and the Banelings are trying to go in. They do a speed on creep, was pretty scary, but nice splits here out of Kozan and just cleans basically everything up. It is not looking good here.
Yeah, that was insane. The splits were on point. The fourth goes down. GG gets called.
And Kozan, really well done, gets to take game number... that is game number 1, right? Game number 1, I think. Yeah.
Wow. And that was really impressive. That was like there was nothing like cheeky. There was other than like the lair location, I guess. There was nothing too crazy. It was just like straight up play, and Kozan was looking dominant there.
Exactly, really well done from start to finish. Kozan just played a very clean, straightforward game, and that makes me a bit worried for ScrubbleS.
Oh yeah, I'm worried about my prediction now. I was like, yo, ScrubbleS, he was looking pretty good, like on Death or against Disrespect, but Kozan really coming out strong there in game 1. It's terrifying. Especially after game 1, I have to imagine ScrubbleS. Mate, are we gonna see a Roach win?
Yes, I'd love to see mix something up, like try and go for like a cheeky, like even if it's not a Roach win, even if it's just like a standard like pool first, and like try and maybe metagame Kozan into thinking it's a Roach all-in. Might be just interesting play, but like just playing straight up standard, I feel like would be a decision I would be scared of making.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we will see what this player has to offer here in game number 2, as spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Pills of Gold LE. We have the American Zerg player, the Yellow Zerg, representing Team Risen from the Gosu, currently down 0-1 in this best of 3. It is ScrubbleS.
And in the upper right-hand corner, it is the green Terran player representing Icebound Esports. Give it up for Kozan.
Oh boy. So right now, at least my eyes are on ScrubbleS. Like, as you said, game 1 was pretty scary from Kozan, and I have to imagine if you're a Zerg player here, you don't want to like let him get into that situation again.
100% agreed. Just seeing like such a clean macro game out of Kozan, just like absolutely, just for lack of like a better way to phrase it, running over ScrubbleS. It was just that's so scary. Like as the Zerg player, when you get like run over in stock standard game, I am terrified, and I myself, as you know, like to pull out something cheeky and aggressive.
Basically, it's like, nope, I'm not having that again. And we've seen ScrubbleS be incredibly aggressive against Disrespect, so again, that's kind of what I would expect from him here in game number 2. But at the same time, you have to imagine the same thing if you're Kozan, right? Like, if you're Kozan after game 1, you're feeling so good about yourself right now. You're like, yo, I barely did anything special there. I just played out my regular game. Okay, now in game 2, I gotta play it safe, right?
Yes, I would really, one thing that Kozan could consider doing is that he's won game number 1 so cleanly. I feel like a Hellbat all-in, or like something really aggressive, like maybe that Hellbat Marauder thing we saw Disrespect to do might not be a miss here, just because, you know, he can be maybe that confident that like, I might get a cheeky win and have an easier series, or, you know, I can just like clean this up in a very clean game number 3. But we'll have to wait and see, as this Reaper is starting to get across the map and poking at these Zerglings, the dance that almost every Terran and Zerg do.
Oh, he wants that Ling. He wants it. Oh. And he gets
so
it.
Unlucky. He does get the Ling. Yeah, no, he gets it well microed by Kozan, and unfortunately the Ling just kind of went around the hatch when ScrubbleS really needed it to back up.
Yeah, so nicely done so far by Kozan. Again, you don't really expect many Lings to go down, but already getting one is nicely done as he keeps his Reaper alive. Again, looking to deny that third as the drone does sneak past.
Now that drone going to take the third base. No more 2-base muted memes, unfortunately, as fun as those are to watch. And we also, you know, have a starport and no armory, so no Hellbat all-in, which is also very, very sad.
Yeah. I mean, we were saying, right, Kozan, he has the freedom to do what he wants, to be aggressive or more straight up, and it looks like he has decided to play a more normal game. To be fair, again, I'm not too familiar with too many of Kozan's games, so I don't know how comfortable he is executing a bit of a Hellbat all-in, so yeah, we'll see how he does here as, he's going for the Banshee this time.
Yeah, the more classic way to play the matchup, I feel, Banshees plus Hellions are pretty good, and they will force more colors, they will force a decent reaction, even if they are a little bit of an investment. I really do like the Banshee play, especially because you keep them alive for a while if you micro them pretty well, and it's difficult for Zergs to deal with.
Definitely, and it also kind of is a little bit of a safety net as well, like in case ScrubbleS was going for a bit of a roach push, right? Because Banshees do so well defensively against them.
Yes, exactly. And these Hellions Reapers, they do manage to clear up a creep tumor, which is very, very nice, but still it's like we're kind of waiting on what the tech's going to be, because we do have the Baneling Nest on the way, which is nice, and the factory is lifted off the reactor on the Terran side of things, and so it's not going to be like infinite Hellions forever as Stim does get started.
Yeah. I mean, we're just waiting to see what happens, as so far both players are kind of just macroing up. The Baneling Nest, of course, did finish up for ScrubbleS, but so far nothing too crazy, just morphing in a couple of defensive Banelings. And luckily he is also working on those spores, even though he didn't see the 1/1/1, like he is anticipating it, he's ready for the Banshees.
Yes, the it's a nice safety net, just like, hey, I don't know what's going on, just to be safe, I'll get these. And the layer finally getting started at a pretty reasonable time. I feel like ScrubbleS is at a very nice drone count here, and he can relatively easily get to his 66 without too much bother from our Terran hero over in the upper right.
Yeah, definitely. He did make a pretty big wave of Lings, but again, like, I'm sure they are kind of defensively, just in case a push does come out. He has his Banelings as well, as he does start his 1/1, or I should say his double Evo chambers to get into his upgrades. So again, nothing too aggressive from ScrubbleS. He's going to be waiting at least for his upgrades as the Banshees do get into the main.
Yes, really nice job getting 3 drone kills and like forcing a bit of a drone pull as all the queens come into the main base, and these Banshees need to be a bit elsewhere if they're looking for damage.
Yeah, definitely. As the Banshees so far, they spotted the Evo chambers at least. They know the upgrades are on the way. Ooh, even catch a couple of transferring drones.
Yes, really well done by these Banshees. One of them does run out of energy, unfortunately, but that queen does take a lot of damage. And, wasting a transfuse on a queen is always nice. It's little victories from the Terran players' perspective.
Oh yeah, whatever you can get. And again, I'm still so surprised by ScrubbleS. He's taken all of his gases, he's getting a 4th base, like he's looking to tech up, like he wants to go toe-to-toe again with Kozan. He's not satisfied with how game 1 turned out. He feels like he can do better and perform a little bit better and take it to Kozan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like ScrubbleS is gonna try and play a bit of a cleaner game here, as Kozan is doing basically the same thing he did last time. He still has his Hellions alive, which is very nice. Didn't throw those away nice and early, but we've got Banshees to the libs, and we've got a very, very scary push coming out of Kozan here. And I'm not entirely sure if, without Baneling speed, how ScrubbleS will deal with it.
Yeah, Baneling speed is still quite a ways off. He does have a couple pre-morphed already, solid amount, and it looks like he's getting ready for us around.
Oh, this could be massive, as everything does stem. And it does have to micro into some Lings that are on both sides. Really good Baneling connections here. And both the tanks, or almost both the tanks, go down. One of them barely gets saved in red hit points. And that is a really, really well done cleanup by ScrubbleS. He just completely cleared it with almost no effort. That was so cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was so key that he was able to catch both tanks unsieged. Kozan just wasn't ready. He wasn't set up for that attack. And yeah, ScrubbleS was able to clean up without Baneling speed. And now it's finished.
Yes, now it's finished. We've got more upgrades coming out of ScrubbleS, getting Carapace and an Infestation Pit, funnily enough. There's definitely massive links around on all of these Hellions, and the Baneling still coming in. This could be absolutely huge, losing a tank, and eventually Kozan cleans this up, but still that's losing so much of your pushing potential. Down to 1 tank and nothing really to buffer. I am worried.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so far, ScrubbleS has been on point with his defense every single time he's been able to catch the army a little bit off guard. And now, as you said, there's only one tank here, and ScrubbleS, he has plenty to defend.
Really well done by ScrubbleS. These Lings getting on top of things. The Queen's just like tanking so much of the tank fire, and eventually, like, everything will get cleaned up here, but just not great trades out of Kozan yet. ScrubbleS really, really pulling things together here.
Oh yeah, just barely. It feels like ScrubbleS is getting away a little bit with his greed, right? And now everything is paying off. You know, 1-1 is done. Baneling's speed is done. Hive is already on the way. We've got a macro hatch. Like, ScrubbleS, he's looking to get into this mid-game scenario so much better than he did in game 1.
Exactly, completely agree. We do have a bunch of safety banes and Link's just finishing morphing up. And on the other side of things, a second factory for more tank productions is on the way, which, you know, is always nice, but there's no the fourth base isn't quite done yet, which is a bit unfortunate, as you want to see that, as there's a drop in the main base of the Zerg player who looking to get maybe quite a lot of drone damage done.
Oh yeah, finally, this is something that we've been missing. Like, Kozan in the previous game was able to deny that fourth base for so long. Here, finally a job does get in, and yeah, does kill a decent amount of workers.
Yeah, 6 workers isn't anything to sniff at, as the Lings end up wandering elsewhere. There's still this SCV the medevac, excuse me, that you have to keep in the back of your head, like, oh, I can't F2 because what if the medevac comes back in?
Yeah, definitely. And this, mate, this is the ScrubbleS that we saw against Disrespect. Like, he's got creep all over the place. He's got his fourth already up and running, fully saturated. He's got Hive on the way, adrenal glands as well. And like Kozan, he just can't get anything done. Exactly.
Eventually, the drop that was clearing so much creep got pushed back, but man, like Kozan, he's making some nice plays, but I feel like the ScrubbleS is just like every time gets like a little bit more and more ahead. I really like ScrubbleS' position here. He just has to, I feel like, not die in the next like 2 minutes. Eventually, when his ultras finish and his +3 carapace finishes, then like he'll be in a super clean spot to take game number 2.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, now we've reached a stage where Ultra's Cavern is in production. Like, what does Kozan really have prepared for that? Nothing at all. Like, he's still stuck on Marine Tank, and that doesn't scale up to deal with those incoming Ultras. Not just that, but those 3/3 upgrades as well. So we'll see what Kozan can accomplish here. He is moving out on the map. He has to do something here.
I definitely agree. I feel like this push is a sort of do or die for Kozan, as there are a couple of tanks really far forward that do get cleaned up very, very quickly, but so not a whole lot good coming out of ScrubbleS so far with the first push, although, you know, there's still time. Kozan is on creep. That is a lot of Bane.
Oh, God!
Oh no, that's like so bad.
That's basically game right there. Kozan, he was distracted. He himself distracted himself. He had a drop in the main base of ScrubbleS. He was not looking at his main army whatsoever, and as a result, there was no splits, the best connections you would hope for as ScrubbleS, and that just takes the wind out of the sails of this push.
You know, there's still a decent number of tanks, so it's not completely out of it, but still losing that many Marines, especially when you're sort of on a timer considering ultras are coming, you just, like, I don't think you can do that. You had them split there, and just losing everything to a group of Banelings is not what you really want out of the day.
Exactly, and it's such a shame as well, because Kozan, like, he had the tools at his disposal to make something happen, to like push in, potentially deny the fourth base. Like, he had a lot of Marines there, just looking away at the worst moment.
Exactly. So we do have a group of Marines like starting to like do things elsewhere, trying to distract, and maybe Kozan will push in once again. However, just like we've got like ultras done, we've got Vipers almost done, ultra upgrades are finishing up, as this has been a very, very interesting game out of ScrubbleS.
Oh yeah, definitely. But he's gotten to the stage that we were talking about. He didn't die for a couple of minutes, and now he's got ultras that are going to be popping out. The Vipers are done. To be fair, he still needs a little bit of time to gather energy on those Vipers, but he's not even worrying about that. He's just going out into the center of the map.
Yes, I love it. Kozan just being like, yep, I've got this. I don't need Viper energy. We'll get there eventually, as he runs up a ramp. All of the tanks, so many of the tanks do get pulled. There's just so much Wing Bane out of these Zerg player. I am so worried. I feel like Kozan just starting to fall apart here, slowly but surely.
Yeah, exactly. All the tanks taking out all the liberators as well. There is just barely enough bio to hold the line, especially because there was only one Ultra in the army of ScrubbleS, but mate, 6 more on the way.
Yes, really, really well done by ScrubbleS, getting like everything absolutely cleared up, and then even though there's like some drops on the other side of the map, they're getting cleaned up so quickly that Kozan just is really struggling to find any purchase here in this game.
Yeah, exactly. Like even though like Kozan has survived, the big question is going to be, okay, what does he have to do with the Ultras? Like that's going to be the follow-up from ScrubbleS, and at the moment, like, I don't really see much of an answer. Like there are no more Liberators, there's no Ghost Academy. Oh, sorry, there is a Ghost Academy, but there aren't any Ghosts out.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a interesting position that Kozan finds himself in. He's on a good work account, and like he's got 4 bases, a couple of extra command centers. He's got good production, so it's like I'm not that worried for him, but I don't know, man. It's like it's so hard to see his army winning a straight up engagement versus ScrubbleS.
Yeah, definitely. We shall see what happens here. I mean, to be fair, like I didn't notice, but even in that last fight, all the Vipers were taken out as well. So like that was some nice value from Kozan, able to basically reset that count. But we'll see how he does here as he is pushing out into the center of the map. Oh god, and the Ultras are here to meet him.
Yes, Ultra, Bane, Ling, incredibly scary, losing a couple of units for free and just being forced to flee for his life. Kozan driven all the way back to the 3rd base, trying to like maybe take a 4th base, but I don't feel like that's long for as well as there are Ultras and Banelings kind of blocking the way as ScrubbleS, surprisingly enough, starts to back up. Like this, I like this call. Waiting, let's get like the Vipers back, let's get some energy, and let's maybe come in next time and like actually kill a base when there's a base here, as opposed to having to dive in on top of the production in the mostly mined out 3rd.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because that base over on the right-hand side, like there are a lot of Raxes there. The Sim City is pretty ideal for Kozan, so it'll be a nightmare to engage with all those thick boy Ultras. So instead, ScrubbleS, he backs off, he rotates over to the left-hand side, looking to try and deal some damage. Ooh, but the Ghosts are out.
Yes, really well done by the Ghosts and Kozan to have those Ghosts out just in time to defend well. I mean, it doesn't even lose a CC, which is really nice, and Kozan looks to be taking another PF, but with like so many Banelings in the way, this makes me nervous, man.
Oh yeah, 26 Banelings in production. Jesus Christ. ScrubbleS, he is maxed out, looking to try and push into one of these bases, find an angle of attack, and we'll see what he decides on as, oh, he looks like he's just going through the center into the heart of the Terran.
Yeah, really, Kozan is just like, didn't quite have anything to see this army coming until it was already on his doorstep. It's having to micro back all the way to his 4th base. And these units are so stimmed, I don't know, man. This is Lookings here. That is so many Banelings, like, geez.
Yeah, exactly. The Ultras push on forward. The Banelings connect with the army. Everything gets cleaned up. The Planetary Fortress is going to fall. And now ScrubbleS, he has broken the Terran and is getting into the natural. GG gets called.
Well played, and ScrubbleS takes game number 2, and so we have ourselves another ace match. I'm very excited. I'm curious to see how things will go.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was really well done by ScrubbleS. I was doubting ScrubbleS after game 1. I was like, oh god, like it was pretty one-sided. But ScrubbleS proving to us that no. Game 1 he messed up. When he really gets into the swing of things, when he focuses on that macro style of play, when he gets to that hive, when he gets to those Ultras, he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, that was just a really, really clean game from ScrubbleS. Like there was a little bit of like messiness here, but like I feel like every single engagement, ScrubbleS just came out just a little bit better than Kozan.
Oh yeah.
And so we'll have to see how things go for game number 3. I'm curious.
Definitely. I have to agree, especially because, again, like game 1, like Kozan was doing such a good job with his drops, but in game 2, like ScrubbleS really tightened up. And sure, there were a couple of drops where like 5, maybe 6 drones would die here and there, but it was nothing major, nothing that ScrubbleS couldn't come back from. As I did just mention his name, but here we are in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE. We have our Zerg player, our yellow Zerg, representing Risen from the Gosu. We are tied up. This is it. This is the ace match. It is ScrubbleS.
And we have his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, representing Icebound Esports, playing as the green tank. Give it up for Kozan.
Yeah, and ScrubbleS in the chat also pointing out, of course, how could we forget that there was that big moment where Kozan kind of distracted himself, wasn't paying attention, and the juiciest Veiling connections happened over on the left-hand side of Pillars of Gold. Like that was, it felt like that was like the beginning where like ScrubbleS like gained momentum, and he just never let go of it.
Yes, once you get a lead, it is much easier to keep a lead than to steal a lead from someone else. And so getting those 30 Marines really early on really took the wind out of Kozan's sails. And so Kozan having to play that comeback style was just not quite up to the task, I guess, for a way to phrase it.
Yeah. That's the rough thing about StarCraft, right? Like things are happening so quick, so fast. One slip up, and sometimes that can be the beginning of the end.
Exactly. As we do have an SCV scout come and go, sees, hey, there's not anything weird going on. And considering there's nothing really weird going on from Kozan's side of things too, it looks like we're gonna have a pretty standard, normal macro game.
I'm surprised, mate. To be fair, like it's still possible. Where's the ritual in?
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that too. Just like take a third base and maybe do like the 38 drone, 2 gas, just like Ravager Ling, YOLO. Feel like it would not be a terrible play here, as we do have an Overlord coming to see the natural base it's building as the Reaper has left, and you know things are looking incredibly normal from both sides. As there's even a hidden drone. I'm loving this from ScrubbleS.
Yeah, ScrubbleS making sure he's able to get his third base up and running, not getting denied by any kind of Reaper of Kozan. Nicely done.
Really well done. As we have a crew tumor going down, and Kozan sees the third base and be like, shucks, he hit it. I was hoping he wouldn't. That's always kind of a disappointing feeling as a Terran player when like you get to third base, you're like, I don't see a drone leaving. Did you go take it already? You did. Sad.
feels bad, man. So Kozan, he does send his Reaper back home, feeling a little bit defeated, not even able to find a Ling across the map.
Yeah, like just that was a interesting initial opening. We do have some Hellions though coming out, and maybe the Reaper and the pair of Hellions can go and get quite a bit done. We'll have to wait and see. There's a Ling run by heading in, which is interesting. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, the slow Lings are looking to sneak into the natural, and it looks like somehow they bypass the Hellions. Oh my god, they get into the main! What,
like perfect timing. Ling speed finishes, they just run around. Kozan pulls workers, and then these two, they just scout everything and maybe try and get a little bit of damage on a mule done, but eventually they do get cleaned up. But that was like, what?
That was a beautifully timed. Somehow those two Lings were able to sneak in and just scout everything.
You know, that was just like absolute perfect timing. Nothing was in position. The two Hellions had just moved out, as we do have a Hellion drop coming out of Kozan today. There's no Hellbats, no armory, but just standard Hellion drop. That's a new one from me.
Yeah, it's just straight up. To be fair, it looks like there isn't an Overlord in position to scout this, so he can sneak into that main base where there is this hidden pocket where he can drop unseen, unscouted by ScrubbleS.
Yes, I really like this out of Kozan, going for the hidden drop, and he's like really getting this unscouted. So maybe he can get like so many drone kills here. That would be a very nice way to win the game. A bit unfortunate for ScrubbleS, but no, ScrubbleS pulling instantly, able to really mitigate basically any losses as the Hellions are forced to be picked up and brought elsewhere.
Oh, that they are, as ScrubbleS is making another wave of Overlords. I'm keeping an eye on that drone count to see if ScrubbleS makes any more, as he does have a pretty decent amount of Lings, as he's just focusing on the defense right now, making sure that these Hellions don't find too much damage.
Yes, these Hellions, ensuring these Hellions is always difficult, especially with the medevac, because just the medevac could just add so much mobility to already a very quick unit, the Hellion. And we do have a massive Ling run by coming in. Oh, is the door gonna be? Oh no, that's so bad. Losing the Hellions on the side of the map, getting in, ravaging the natural mineral line and like the army of Kozan, ScrubbleS is in a really, really nice position. I feel like he's now in the driver's seat for this, not only this game, but to take the series.
Exactly. Like, this is not even the first time. This is the second time somehow he's been able to make his way into the natural location. 11 SCVs and a couple of mules go down. My God.
Yeah, Kozan just like not quite able to keep track of everything, as there is like a decent sized army, a couple of Hellions, a good number of Marines, but like this could be a lot better, especially with any follow up. They're going to be significantly delayed, considering Kozan is down 20 workers, which is actually ludicrous.
Exactly. And not just that, but like, he doesn't have a third CC on the way. You know, like, it's not in production just finishing up or anything like that. Like, he's still stuck on 2 bases. Meanwhile, ScrubbleS is busy getting his 4th. Jesus Christ, like, Kozan has to deal like almost game-ending damage here with this push. And I don't know if he'll be able to. I mean, he's pushing out, you know, there's decent creep thread, there's so many queens, the banelings are already ready to like just dive into this, and we'll see as he pushes on forward. He's killing a couple of overlords here and there, which is nice. He has these hellbats to soak up as well.
Yes, one thing Kozan really is going for him is there's no baneling speed yet. There are like a good number of banelings, but the lack of baneling speed really is causing some problems as another run by denying reinforcements and really buying time for that baneling speed. And so I feel like Kozan's window of opportunity is starting to close, as something has to happen soon, right?
Exactly. As he's continuing to apply pressure here outside the 3rd base of ScrubbleS. Again, the baneling speed, it just finished up.
That's a massive flank. It's going to be, so not good. Those banelings attempted at splits with so many Marines going down. There are some nice hellbats left. And a good number of medevacs too to heal these hellbats, but like, I don't know, it's a bunch of lingering reinforcements, more banelings rolling at them. He tries to split, and just like, that's a really well done cleanup by ScrubbleS.
Exactly. I mean, Kozan, sure, he has a couple of units left, but again, like, this push had to deal damage. It had to deal, more importantly, economic damage in some way, shape, or form, but he never even got close to that mineral line.
I know, Kozan's unfortunately not able to get close. He did get a lot of Ling kills though, but like trading out army for army is something that Zerg just will do all day. Because like Zerglings are so cheap, and like it's really just larva. As long as ScrubbleS is on top of his larva production, he'll be okay. As another attempted run by and a massive fight happening at the same time, Kozan's really getting his multitasking stressed today.
Yeah, thankfully this time the wall was up at that natural, so the Lings haven't been able to dive in, but nicely done ScrubbleS. All he's doing, he's just delaying that 3rd base for as long as possible, but it looks like Kozan is finally going to be able to land it.
That's really well done by Kozan. He does get his 3rd base, and so like, he's not completely out of this game, but still, you're down like 11 workers, things aren't looking so hot for Kozan. He's only got like 1-1, and especially considering Kozan's on 1-1 as well with a small lead. This is just like not the ideal place to be if you're a Terran player.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As Kozan is still being active out on the map with his drop, and to be fair, like, this is necessary. Like, he needs to do whatever he can to make sure ScrubbleS stays at home. But we see ScrubbleS, he's going across the map. He's already outside the 3rd base of Kozan, with even more banelings being morphed in.
There's so many banelings. Some splits are done. These banelings watch over everything. The SCVs do have to be pulled, and there's so much Zerg here. I don't know about this one. Like,
yeah, there's not enough for Kozan. More importantly, there were no Widowmines, there were no tanks. It was just pure bio and a couple of hellbats, and it was just not enough. Once again, the Lings get into the natural.
Really well done by ScrubbleS to get some natural ones again, and there is a decent sized army here to try and clean things up, but 22 workers going down and more Lings flooding across the map. This is really going from bad to worse here for Kozan.
Exactly. Like, sure, you know, we talk about it all the time. Mules are pretty good, and you know, we have 3 orbitals, but are they good enough to like close this massive discrepancy in workers? Like, 22 banelings are on the way. This is probably gonna be it, mate. Oh god, as the Ling Bane is rushing on in, he's gonna try and split as best he can. He does pull away, but again, all the mining is denied here, even takes out the third CC.
Yes, the Baneling train has come and gone, and with the third CC down, Kozan really is in like basically an all-in position. I feel like these upgrades are not gonna finish for our Terran hero, as he is just like has to go kill his opponent. But can he kill his opponent? Just like make Banelings, make Zerglings, even some Hydras, like have units. And I feel like as long as Scrubble holds this push right here, he's gonna win this game.
Exactly, and I don't see a way that this push can end it for Kozan. Like, he's coming out here, he's trying to focus down the queens, but the Ling Bane is ready and waiting. Finally, some Widowmines come in, but they don't even borrow.
And the Widowmines are just, I feel like they're too little too late, as most of the army gets cleaned up. Really well done by Kozan and ScrubbleS. Gonna cry forever about that depot. Oh no. I feel that so hard. GG, well played, and ScrubbleS takes the series.
GG, ScrubbleS looking so good in this matchup, already winning both of his series so far, both of his ZVTs. Goes toe to toe and takes out Kozan himself.
Yes, really, really well done by ScrubbleS. That's just that ZVT has been incredibly. He looks so. Has such a wide variety of playstyles, and then like each of the games, he did something different to get his win, which I feel like is very nice. It's a mark of a very good player.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Like, I'm impressed. Like, I've casted ScrubbleS before, specifically in Spicy Team League. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's another event run by Sugar as well, kind of under the umbrella of the NA Apprentice brand. But at least in that, ScrubbleS was incredibly cheeky, incredibly cheesy. Especially because we started off the day with a Roach all in. Like, that's kind of what I expected from him. Not gonna lie, for the rest of the series, but he looks so good in like longer macro-oriented games.
Yeah, no, ScrubbleS really doing a good job playing that macro game, and like he was helped here and there with like occasionally getting like 30 Marines for a couple of Banelings, but like, so that was just, man, what a series. That was really fun.
yeah, I'm impressed. I'm a fan, not gonna lie. Really well done, as we have hit that halfway point. Of course, our next series is going to be Disrespect versus mLty, but before we get into that, we're going to be going on a short break, if you don't mind. Before we get into that, if you want to support NA Apprentice, you can do so if you check out their Patreon page. That is how all of this is funded. I should specifically say Sugar himself, he pays this out of his own pockets. So if you want to try and alleviate that, you can help support him with that Patreon. I believe it's command ! NA Patreon in the chat. There you go. So you can go there and you can help him out. I know he'll really appreciate it. I know the NA scene would appreciate it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, just helping out these smaller scale tournaments really is super important to help out the scene. But I do believe you said we were going on a break here in a little bit.
Yes, we are. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in 5 minutes with Disrespect versus mLty. And we are back. I hope you enjoyed those duct tapes. I hope you enjoyed that small break. Make sure everyone hydrate your hydras, stretch your roaches, get plenty of water, because you're going to need it as we're going to get back into those TVZs.
Yes, I'm really excited for this match. We've got Disrespect, a player who I know very well, and mLty, one of the better American Zergs out there. And in general, NA Zerg. So you have to be a pretty good Zerg in North America to be able to play in this tournament if you qualify as Zerg. But a very interesting best of 3 we have ahead of us. I'm really excited to see exactly what builds end up getting shown.
That's going to be the big thing here. Like, we saw how insane mLty was in her series against Kozan. can she top that somehow here against Disrespect? Likewise, like Disrespect, like both these players, we saw them earlier today, and unfortunately they did fall in their respective series, but now finally one of them can put a point on the board. As we load in to game number 1, it is going to be on Pillars of Gold. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the American Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Intensity Esports. It is Disrespect.
And in the upper right-hand corner, spawning in as the purple Zerg player, representing Alpha X, her name is mLty.
All right, so 2 base Hydra.
Yeah, I am thinking 2 base. I'm hoping 2 base. There aren't any rich gases on this map, so I mean, obviously, it makes sense that when you can't do a Ravager Ling attack using the double rich gas, that 2 base Hydra is the logical follow-up to make. Herring. Yes, no, interesting decisions ahead of us. Do you think we're going to see that Marauder build again? What I am curious about.
Yeah, honestly, I would imagine so. I was going to pose a question to you, especially because Disrespect is someone who you are very familiar with. You know, you practice with. He's a good friend of yours. Is he one to dabble in mech? Is he that kind of player?
He has been a bio player for basically as long as I've known him. I've seen him mech once or twice. He was a big fan of mech back when, was it like 2018, I think, when the Cyclones got the change to get like, they were basically like little miniguns. They're really annoying. And Cyclone mech became a thing. And I believe he still occasionally plays Cyclone mech, but more often than not. And I'd say almost like 90-95% of his games, he is definitely a bio player.
Okay, that's good. I was worried that I might have to like ban him from the chat or something if he was like a meching Terran. So thank God he's a bio player. Phew, okay, he's good in my books.
Yes. He's a nice standard bio player, and the games he brings us to are very interesting. Almost always.
Okay. I can't wait to be honest. As we do see a little bit of an SCV scout almost losing it, but Reaper does come in just barely to save it. Oh, the third.
Barely just getting that third up. That was so close. I was like, I froze for almost a second there because I was just. But getting the third up, and so no 2 base Hydras. I'm a bit disappointed. Was hoping for 2 base Hydra, everyone's favorite, most standard build.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit disappointed, but hopefully mLty can whip it out later on in this series. Again, I would just love to see it play out and how it would work in a longer game where she has a little bit more control over the situation. But so far, a little bit more standard.
Yes, and the Reaper doing its best to try and deny a creep tumor, and getting a creep tumor actually is a pretty big win for this Reaper, as it will after that go home. And it looks to be, he's making Marauders.
It's happening. It's happening.
He's doing it.
Oh my God. Yeah, as soon as I saw the Marauder in production, it's like, mate, it's most likely going to be that concussive shell push. mLty, though, does have an Overlord parked over the production.
Yeah, and so being able to see like exactly what's being made is very nice, but a Viking on the way to get that Overlord killed, and considering there are 2 Overlords, the Viking is just in general a good investment, considering Disrespect you can see 2 Overlords like over his base, and so it's not a bad call to just like make Viking in general, even in a macro game, but especially now to hide what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the added layer on it as well, that Disrespect, he's actually rallying his Marauders over behind his mineral line as well, just making sure that it gets hidden for the longest time.
Exactly. And this second Overlord is just sitting over the natural, and so maybe sending it in to scout the production once again would be a good play, but it's going to get cleaned up by this Viking, as the Hellions and Reaper on the other side of the map really preventing basically any creep spread from being spread. I mean, this is a very, very interesting position mLty finds himself in. The bathing nest isn't quite done yet, and do you think like it'll be done in time?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be done quite shortly. She is making Wave of Links, thankfully, so she will have links to support her queens. She has, what, 4 queens on the front line? She has 2 more she could potentially bring on over, but this is still a little bit terrifying if you're a Zerg player.
Exactly, yes. And so the Hellbats are morphing. The medevac is here, dropping off those Marauders, and this is just a terrifying push if you were a Zerg player. Like, you really need Banelings, and you need all of them right now.
Yeah, she doesn't have enough gas.
One morphing.
Yeah, one.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
I maybe can't say the upgrades would have been the play, but just like she doesn't have any gas. She's morphing a couple more, and she's like trying her best with Ling Queen here. But the Marauders are dealing so much damage. The Banelings are just getting cleaned up. None of them go off. That is so unfortunate. And mLty, having spent so much gas on upgrades and layer, like really looking for the long term, is just like not really looking that good here.
Yeah, feels bad, man. mLty being punished for her greed, investing in the later stages of the game when really she had to focus on the here and now the 3rd base falls, and mate, it's more damage is going to be done.
Yes, the Banelings are trying to get a good connection, but like really nice splits out of Disrespect, just completely clearing that up. The Hellbat Marauder cleans up basically all of the Zergling reinforcements, and with a Liberator down, GG gets called, and Disrespect takes game number 1.
Wow, GG. Just a really nice execution there from Disrespect. And a bit of a shame for mLty because she had like 2 overlords out on the map. Like ideally you go in, you scout what's happening, but she wasn't very active with her overlords either. Like they were kind of idly sitting by. She never really dove into the main to really get an idea of what was coming.
Exactly. And one thing that is really important is if you do send those 2 overlords across the map early on, you do have to know what's coming and like send them in. You can't just kind of sit there idly by with them, as you said. Which is a bit of a mistake, but hey, you know, in the next game, maybe mLty will like either send only 1 overlord across or send them both and like really get that scout off. But we have to wait and see, as this is the Ravager map of mLty coming next. We have Death Aura LE, and so I'm very excited to see what comes out of this next game.
Everyone, put mLty, please don't disappoint. Go for it. Go for the build. I want to see. I want to see it. I want to see it once again against a Terran. But as you said, like when it comes to that defense, it's very like in the moment situation where you have to think to like cancel your upgrades for the gas, right? To try and muster a defense. It's very difficult to do. But here we have our Terran player, the blue American Terran, representing his new team, Intensity Esports. He's here already up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. Can he close it out? It is Disrespect.
And in the upper right-hand corner, representing Alpha X, and once again, sending the drone out, give it up for the purple Zerg, mLty.
So happy.
Yes, the drone once again heading to that rich base. I want to see this again, and I'm very curious what Disrespect does differently than Kozan to maybe try and hold the build off this time, because last time didn't go so well.
Yeah, especially because like I felt like the initial responses from Kozan weren't necessarily bad. Like if you remember, it happened a while ago now, but he was being very aggressive with his Hellions. He was getting a lot of worker kills. He was denying a lot of mining time. If you recall, he was like harassing with his Liberator in the main base. Like he was doing well to like stifle the economy of mLty, but it just didn't seem like it was enough.
Yes, exactly. I very much agree, and I feel like maybe one thing you could do is, as I believe I said it once before already, but go for those Banshees. Get the get Cloak Banshees. I really feel like are a very strong play here, because like if you have Cloak, then there isn't really a layer or like any detection anywhere nearby, and so like eventually with the Cloak Banshees will clean up everything. Especially considering the only anti-air is Queens have to walk all the way from this rich gas, while there might be some creep to the natural. It's still a bit of a walk for a Queen to make.
Oh yeah, definitely. It does feel like, again, it's something where you can come up with a better response. But if it's your first time going up against something like this, like maybe it's difficult to on the fly react. But we'll see how Disrespect does, as he, just like Kozan, has scouted that ninja base.
Yes, the Reaper headed almost immediately this way. I'm wondering if he did a bit of scouting in advance to like see, oh hey, this is what mLty likes to do on this map, because this is a very fun and strong build. I'm curious, the drone nearly going down to the Reaper. We've got it's so nerve-wracking, as just like because I want all the drones to live, but I'm not the one controlling them.
Yeah, exactly. As so far, Disrespect has done a really good job at harassing with this Reaper, keeping it alive, doing whatever damage he can. But as we saw, things can really ramp up and get out of control once mLty establishes this base and gets up and running with her own economy. So we'll see what the response is going to be. So far, 1-1-1 from Disrespect. He's got a tech lab on the way. He could be looking to go for those Banshees.
Yes, I really like the tech lab regardless, because maybe like Banshees or like maybe Marauders, but denying that creep to him are really, really well done by Disrespect. Getting that creep denied is super important as the way to have the Queens to just have to walk so much farther. And so with the Hellions as well joining the Reaper, I feel like Disrespect is in very nice position.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, you could even argue that denying creep is more important than getting drone kills here. Just because your plan is to eventually go into those Banshees. If you're able to delay and potentially deny the anti-air, the ability for those Queens to go across the map, like, that is so key. That'll help so much.
Exactly, and Disrespect going for the worker kills, trying to deny a bit of gas mining. mLty not immediately resaturating that gas. And so having a bit less gas than she otherwise would. But the creep is finally getting started, and these Hellions and Reapers getting shoot away. But tanks, and just like very, very quick tanks. Getting is the order for the day, as well as getting a tech lab on the Starport. I really like this response. I feel like this is the cleanest response I've seen to this build so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, prioritizing those tanks, and sure, the tech lab on the Starport gets delayed a little bit, but like, regardless, like, there's this hyper focus on the defense instead of Kozan, who I believe he made like extra rounds of Hellions and he was being more active on the map with those instead. So yeah, Disrespect really approaching this from a different angle.
Yes, I really this is what an interesting way to do it, and especially with the Viking to clean up the Overlords, and so there isn't going to be any high ground vision for quite a while. This is going to cause a couple of issues. The Hellions and Reapers are cleaned up though on the map, but like, this is just like, this defense is looking so tight from Disrespect as the Queens are starting to march. The creep just isn't that close, so it is a bit of a march for them. But mLty is here, and she is knocking. Here come the Corrosive Vials.
Oh boy, the Corrosive Vials are here, looking to focus down at that bunker, but the repair is on point. GG immediately gets called.
Oh, mLty, that was well, Disrespect takes game number 2, and he just like with a very, very clean defense. I feel like that's a build that worked a limited number of times on an opponent. It is a very fun build, and I do plan on stealing it. But if you know the perfect response, then I feel like it does get a bit worse.
Definitely. GG, well played. I'm curious if Disrespect is still here in the chat, if he could shed light on this game a little bit. Like, has he faced this on the ladder before against mLty? Is he aware that mLty does this? Because as you said, like, that response was so solid, just completely shutting it down.
Yes, really, really well done by Disrespect there, regardless. And we do have a ZVZ next, mixing up the matchups a little bit, but I as well am curious to see if Disrespect is still around, if he if he did any scouting there. Because I was just what a game, what an interesting series.
Definitely. As we do say goodbye to our TVZs. We have finished with them for the day. I hope you enjoyed them. I know I have. They've been very varied and just insane and intense. I'm not disappointed whatsoever, as from here on forward, we have nothing but mirror matchups.
Yes, the ZVZ and the ZVT, and I would like to point out for those of you in maybe watching the VOD and not necessarily reading chat, Disrespect did say he has to give credit to Kozan. He who warned him about the build and let him prepare beforehand, which was, that's very, very nice.
Oh my god, that's pretty cool to hear. The Terran brethren are sticking together here, letting each other know ahead of time about what's going on, and yeah, really, really interesting.
Yeah, and then I do like I'm reading some more like the two Hellions. Just a waste of money in the Viking and takes on the high ground. I do like it. Really well done.
Yeah, it was really cool to see, like, they basically like broke down, dissected the build and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to execute it. And like this is like the great thing about this format. It's very GSL-esque, where like everyone has their groups, they have their specific players to practice against, and this allows this to happen, where they can prepare for their matchups ahead of time and come out with this.
Yeah, no. So really well done by Disrespect to prepare, and then having Kozan warn him, just gives him such a big advantage. We do have a ZVZ 2 cast. I believe we have to intro it in Spanish.
Oh god, oh no! Oh god, I just saw that. Funada, Milk and Cookies, and Maximo. Oh my god. Now, we do have a Spanish intro. Are you ready for it, or would you prefer for it to be for the next game?
Let's try it. Let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh, okay. Here we go. Aquí estamos en el torneo NA Apprentice con el primero ZVZ. Aquí tenemos en la sección superior de la mapa Romanticide. Él es el Zerg player, el americano. Aquí está. Hoy día todavía no ha oh god, how do I say this? Todavía no ha perdido una serie. Aquí vamos a ver si puede continuar. Es el Zerg representando el equipo Risen from the Gosu. Es ScrubbleS.
En la esquina inferior derecha esta es la mLty.
Nice.
Lo siento, mis amigos, mi español es muy, muy mal.
¿A dónde está la biblioteca?
Hay muchos tacos en México.
Oh my god. Beautiful Spanish there. I like how you didn't even try to make anything fancy. You're like, yo, I just the name, I got it. That's it. We're good.
Yes, I got the name and I got where on the map they were. I was debating figuring out the team, but I couldn't remember the word for team. I believe it's like I believe you said it, equipo.
Yeah, equipo. Yeah, there we go.
Equipo.
Oh god, but nice. I'm surprised you caught that. That was something that I was unfamiliar with until I started speaking to Spanish casters, where they introduce the inferior, like it's the superior and the inferior, like the upper and lower echelons of the map. Like that's how they do it.
Yes, I spent a decent amount of time watching Jim Rising, mostly to work on my own Spanish.
Yeah.
And because I did way back when I was the WCS Latin American English caster, and so knowing a little bit of Spanish helps when occasionally the players are joking in chat. And you're like, oh hey, what are they saying here?
But thank you so much for the impromptu Spanish intro, and yeah, thanks to everyone for working towards that. And achieving that. I hope you're satisfied.
That was very fun. And I will work on my Spanish, and maybe we can cast more of the game in Spanish next time.
Oh, God.
And get it redeemed. And we'll see how long in the game we can go, as we do have Lings running by each other. There is a little bit of a game going on our hands, but not too much of one, since it's a fairly standard CVZ.
Yeah, I need to like switch gears because my mind is in the TVZ mindset right now. We've just had so much of it already, and like we're in a ZVZ. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? There are Lings on both sides. What even is this?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a weird one, and there's Lings from ScrubbleS pressuring mLty's third base, but on the flip side, ScrubbleS doesn't have a third base of their own, so this leads to Ooh. All right, so I understand why ScrubbleS doesn't have a third base of his own. He's going for the world's best build in 2-base layer.
Oh boy, yes, that layer is on the way. Meanwhile, those slowlings actually managed to sneak into the main base of mLty, so he's able to secure that scouting information. He finalizes, or he, makes sure that there is no layer on the way for mLty.
Yes, and the Lings are able to get away. Link speed finishes at basically the exact same time for both players. And we've got a wall off coming here to ScrubbleS on the other side of the map, and so like mLty getting in, it might be a bit difficult because has mLty seen the lair?
mLty has not yet seen the lair. Oh, she does back off at the last second as well. And you know what? All 4 gases are being taken. We have that full wall off. Mate, are we going to see the Spire?
There it goes, that Spire. I love it. And mLty, I feel like she has to do something very quickly. She might just be going 3-base layer, which, I do like. I respect it. But like the slightly later mutas, depending on how much later her Spire is, might cause some problems.
Yeah. So far it is looking like the later Spire, because all 4 of our gases has been taken. There still isn't a Roach Warren on the way. So it's something that we don't get too often, or at least I don't get to cast too often in ZVZs, is when both players do go into Spire like this.
Yes, it's an interesting time, especially considering ScrubbleS is going for an upgrade and has that really nice wall off, so it's difficult to get in for run bys and things. And so I feel like the big decision maker will be if mLty can secure her third base gases faster than ScrubbleS can get a third base up and running. Then I feel like mLty will be in the driver's seat for the game. As for spine crawlers, I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, I appreciate the spines. They're not in the best location. Again, mLty has very limited scouting information, so she doesn't know that her opponent is going straight into mutas. This would be okay if she was going up against roaches, but at the moment, Lings are just going to bypass the spines and just go straight into the mineral lines.
Exactly. And so the Spire is quite a ways away. There are some nice banelings here, and they do get okay connections, but there's just so many Zerglings here, and there just isn't a good enough response. There are spine crawlers that can fight, but with melee coming and just a big Zergling lead, this is going to be a very tough task for mLty here. So spines, they are doing some work, and the defense is good, and so the Spire is getting pretty close to done, but I'm worried, man.
Yeah.
Mutas are popping.
Definitely, the mutas are on the way for ScrubbleS. It looks like they do get revealed in the center of the map as ScrubbleS is attacking a couple of overlords here and there, so now mLty is aware and immediately starts those spores.
I do like the spores defense, especially at the third base, but I feel like mLty does need to take those gases, and she does have characters on the way, but denying the third base would be absolutely massive. There's so many Lings here, and can she do it? I don't know. Maybe.
Oh god, she's so close. The third does finish up, but the Lings are getting cleaned up. She just barely does not have enough.
Oh, that must be super frustrating as a Zerg player. It's at so low health, under 200. And now ScrubbleS is going to go for a big attack. And if mLty can survive this wave, I feel like mLty will be in a nice position. But can she survive is the real question. The Spore Muta versus Ling Muta is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, and the Lings, they get into the third. A Queen is going to go down. The mutas are a little bit out of position. They have to, re-maneuver to that third base location. But, is another Queen going to go down?
Just barely not. A really nice job by mLty. She does have her third gases up. She is mining. But she ended up in a very similar position, and she's going to be roughly equal on muta upgrades as well. And so I feel like this really just is going to come down to control and who can take and secure a fourth base faster. With ground upgrade for ScrubbleS in the +1 melee, I feel like ScrubbleS is going to have the better time counterattacking.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know if mLty has had the opportunity to click on the Lings, but if she repositioned those spines to be in the mineral lines, that'll help so much more. Right now, they feel kind of useless, kind of wasted resources.
Exactly, I agree. And the mutas are here to cover the Zerglings. Only 2 Zerglings to try and fight. This fourth base does have to be canceled. It's going to be a massive fight. Muta versus muta, and can, right before mLty's upgrade, worst possible timing for her.
Yeah, and already so many mutas falling. The Lings are taking out the Queens on the low ground as well, and it looks like maybe just barely mLty will have enough to defend, but she's just losing so many mutas in the process.
mLty losing basically all her mutas, but she does clean up so many of her opponent's mutas, and so she can keep the muta printer going. Then I feel like she'll be in a good position. And these spines do draw the Ling, which is very nice. but she just needs to get back into Muta production mode. She needs to keep her Muta count up, and repositioning the spines finally. I love this play, but it's still rough. I'm still nervous.
Definitely. Like, I think we can all safely say that, like, ScrubbleS still has the advantage here in this DBZ. We'll see if he can maintain it. Again, like, his third base is still pretty low. There is an opportunity, if mLty can find it, to maybe go for a run by and try and snipe it or something like that. It just feels like ScrubbleS has been in the driver's seat, like, applying that aggression, and mLty hasn't had the opportunity to go across the map.
Exactly, and so there's another run by coming for this fourth, right as it's getting taken. This Overlord really causing lots of problems, and these Lings are going to get the drones that got sent down here, and there's another Muta block was sent over here to help cover the Lings, but like mLty, she needs a fourth base, she needs those gases eventually.
Exactly, and it's difficult because like ScrubbleS, he's expanding himself. Like he's actually already mining, long distance mining from those gases at that fourth. Just getting so much more gas, and mLty has to try and do something about it. Either that or just like turtle up hard. I guess with spores.
I feel like maybe turtling with spores, trying to get to Vipers, and just like winning one big Muta fight might be mLty's best play, because she is getting another upgrade, and she will have, it'll be 2, right now she's down an air attack upgrade, but she will get there eventually, which is nice. But like, I don't know, I'm still nervous. As a mLty fan, I feel like ScrubbleS is just in such a nice position, especially with that supply lead.
Definitely. I would have to completely agree with just, you know, getting spores and going straight into Hive and going for those Vipers. That's definitely a way that mLty can still win this, but at the moment she's not taking in that direction.
Yes, and the Muta fight is engaging, so we're going to see how it goes for both players. mLty's Muta count is falling very quickly, though. That like one upgrade lead just like is doing so much here as GG gets called and ScrubbleS takes the first game.
GG, and a bit of a treat again. Like, we don't get to see Muta versus Muta that often in this matchup. But ScrubbleS does take the lead in that series. Really well done, being able to hide his tech for the longest time. Again, mLty being a little bit deceived maybe, or just assuming what ScrubbleS is going for, you know, with that big spine wall. Again, if those resources were like, they could have been better spent elsewhere, and she would have been in a bit of a better position.
Yeah, that was definitely a very interesting game. And Muta vs. Muta is always very nerve-wracking, because one thing you have to keep in mind is you kind of have to keep a track of how much gas have they spent on non-Mutas.
Yeah.
And that's, and like seeing like, oh, because ScrubbleS really didn't spend much gas on things that weren't Mutas, and so being able to have that lead in the Muta count, especially considering the game kind of equaled out around the time the third base was happening, so it's like it's a interesting game. We do have a light shade LE for our next one, so I'm very excited to see if they get Muta versus Muta again, or what the play is, but we'll have to wait and see.
That we will, as we are going to be loading in to game number 2. Of course, we do already have a lead here for ScrubbleS. Can mLty bring it back? We will wait and see, as here in the top left-hand corner, we have our American Zerg player, our yellow Zerg, representing Team Risen from the Gosu, currently up 1-0 in this best of 3. It is ScrubbleS.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, representing Alpha X, give it up for the purple Zerg player, mLty.
Oh boy, that's an early pool.
That is indeed an early pool. One might even argue that it is a 12 pool.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't quite catch the supply that it was thrown down at, but it seemed incredibly early, so we got a 12 pool coming up from ScrubbleS.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the 12 pool myself. I very often end up, it's like, it's such a easy way to get a lead versus like Zerg players who don't have a super tight response versus 12 pool, just because the response, like the perfect response if you go hatch gas pool, which so many players just do without thinking, is very tight.
Definitely. Like, when you go hatchback gas pool, you can defend with it, but as you said, like, you have to make sure your response is on point. And mLty's response is going to be put to the test here, as we do already have the Lings headed across the map.
The Lings are on the way, and so it really it depends on the player. Some players like to pause droning and like pull off a gas right away. Some players will leave on gas till 100 and pull off. But she does now see Lings walking across. So, like, what will her decision be? As the Lings are nearly here.
Yeah. Thankfully, you know, ScrubbleS, he didn't try and like go around the Overlord. So mLty did get that scouting information. She did get the heads up as her natural does finish, and we'll see, you know, whether she pulls any drones here to defend against this. We do have the Queens on the way as well as the Lings. There we go.
Yes, she waited a little bit, but she's finally pulling drones. But ScrubbleS might just be able to DPS down the hatchery. ScrubbleS is fighting, and all the drones are fighting to try and save this hatchery. But 5-6 drones going down. Oof. That's... I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's a lot. He's not even done. 9 drones go down.
Yes, and G, the single G as opposed to the GG gets called. mLty, maybe just mistyping a bit, loses game at number 1. And I feel like you have to pull the drones a bit quicker than that. And that was, but like 12 pull is so hard to deal with. Like, if I am playing macro 9 12 pulls, I'll be honest, I'll just like give up the natural and try and play with more gas from behind. With maybe a spine crawler. Like, I am much more of a coward when it comes to facing 12 pull myself. But so it's like, it's so hard to come back from that, losing 9 drones. So it's understandably why she tapped out, but it's a bit unfortunate that that's how game number 2 had to go.
Yeah, it's so difficult to work, right? Like, you have to pull your workers at the right time. You have to drone drill. You have to micro. You have to make sure you pull away like the weakened ones, and you don't commit too hard, so you don't lose too many workers. It's all about buying time for your Lings and Queens. And like, personally, I can't do it. I'm the same. I throw down a spine. I like try to hold in my main. I give up the natural. It's like, oh god.
Because like, it's not the quote unquote correct response, but it's so much simpler to play out. That, like, I'm just like, I can just like, I don't have to worry about like microing drones back and forth. I can just kind of, you know, do my normal muta memes, but on a slightly less basis.
Yeah, definitely. But GG, well played. ScrubbleS does win the series 2-0, and that solidifies his position as the number 1 player in this group.
Well played by ScrubbleS to get that number 1 player in the group. And so now I believe it's going to come down to Kozan versus Disrespect to see who exactly gets out of the group. Because I believe they're all tied up like 1-1 each, right? If I'm doing my math right.
Yes. Both Kozan and Disrespect have only won 1 series each so far. So yeah, it could come down to this tiebreaker, as they are going to be facing each other in a bit of a TVT. Oh boy! Oh my god! And I'm pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting this to be the first map that we end up on.
Yeah, no, this is generally not a map too many players are a fan of. Like, I believe like it's a very small map, and so it's understandable why Terran players like it. But Submarine LE for map number 1 would not be my first guess.
Not at all. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm curious to see how this turns out as we are loading into our very first TVT of the evening. Here we go. In the bottom right, we have the American Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Intensity Esports. It is Disrespect.
And in the upper left-hand corner, spawning as the Green Terran, representing Icebound Esports. Give it up for Kozan.
Oh boy. So you mentioned that you were also brushing up on your Terran play?
Yes, so I've been playing Terran somewhat. Like, in general, I like to play both Terran and Zerg, just because like Terran is very fun, but TVT is very not fun. And Zerg is, on average, I have more fun playing Zerg, but the matchups are more interesting with Terran.
And this
as
is
the players having
Yeah.
Interesting discussion, yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about teams right now. It seems like Kozan was maybe inquiring about joining a team, and I mean, it makes sense, especially because Disrespect very recently joined Intensity, and they were talking about that new team, Genesis Gaming.
Yeah. Abiyad's Fox, I hadn't really heard Genesis Gaming like was a thing up until like very recently. I believe I stumbled across it today. Which is so like new teams in StarCraft is always good, as you do have a bit of a divergence in what builds our players are going for, early factory versus early CC. So this team discussion I'm actually pretty interested in that these players are having.
Yeah, Genesis Gaming has been around for a while. I know Gemini is on Genesis Gaming. So there's plenty of G's in that. What else? I know there's another like relatively top tier player, Pili. He's on Genesis Gaming as well.
Oh yeah, and then didn't they also like pick up Creighton as the content creator recently? I think maybe. Or am I mistaken? Was that a different team?
That was a different team. That was Team GP.
Okay, that's it.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, mixing up my what teams have G's in them.
There's a lot of G's.
It's a lot of G's, especially when you get GGE Mini over there. It's like the number of G's goes up exponentially.
Mate, I don't know how familiar you are with the Korean scene, but there's a new Korean team called Good Game Gaming.
Good Game Gaming.
Yep.
I feel like they should sponsor GGE Mini just so we could have GGE Mini or Good Game Gaming's GGE Mini. Just have like all the G's they can.
I know. I mean, Genesis Gaming are pretty good with that, but they're missing that one G there. So, boy, yeah.
What a fun! I was like, it's fairly standard builds from Disrespect. He'll have a bit of a faster natural just to like talk about the game a little bit. And these Hellions and Reapers will really keep him alive from this 3 Reaper 2 Hellion push that is generally coming. So the rallied Hellions should prevent Disrespect from taking too much damage. We'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. Should is the key word there, as Kozan is being a little bit aggressive here, but Disrespect does have 2 more Hellions in production, just barely coming out.
Yes, a nice micro does pick off one of the Hellions, make that 2, but like really nice job of lining up Reapers, and so 2 Hellions in general will beat out these 2 Reapers. Gets one of them, and the other one goes down fairly quickly after. It's really well done by Disrespect to get an early lead, and that's interesting.
Oh,
you see what I see?
He's bringing it back, mate. He thinks it's a TVZ. Oh boy.
Yes, well, why not? It's like they're basically the same matchup. I mean, both players died a Marauder Hellion.
Oh boy, and immediately he picks up the Marauder's concussive shell is on the way, so is the Liberator, and Disrespect is going across the map.
Yes, I love this push. He's probably going to rally the Marauder across the map. Just everything getting sent across. Go for the kill. There is a Cyclone, however, which is a bit scary, but I mean, Marauders are pretty good, man.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good, and they're going to be looking to focus fire that Cyclone and the tank as well, as the drop does happen.
Yes, I love it. Nice micro by Disrespect on the medevac. It does get targeted down by the Cyclone, which is a bit unfortunate, but like still, that's really lots of damage done. 3 SCVs kills the Cyclone, and here come more Hellions and the Liberators.
A bit of a miss rally there. Does lose one of the Hellions.
Yes, going down, but we do have that Liberator making its way around, as this is a very nice defense by Kozan. The tanks, Cyclone, the good Marine count really kept Kozan alive. I feel like often, if you especially like if let's say Kozan was going mech, he might skimp out on those early Marines, just like make mech units. But these Marines really kept him alive, as this Liberator denies so much mining time. Jeez.
Yeah, especially because it's important to note that the Cyclone was sniped earlier, and that's like typically your ideal Liberator defense as the Terrans. Now it's a little bit more annoying with these slower Marines running around the bases.
Yes, exactly. And then like especially with the only double Raven in general, Terran players really like that triple Raven just because you can like do so much against tank lines and makes attacking so much easier. But the double Raven really kind of cramping the style. It's like, well, you're not like overall like bad per se, but like I in general am a triple Raven player.
Yeah, the more energy you have to work with, generally the better. You don't want to go too overboard with it, but like Ravens are so key when it comes to the big main army engagements, just essentially disabling and getting rid of tanks.
Exactly. As we do see that Kozan does have a nice tank lead. I believe it is 3 tanks to 2. So we'll have to see if that tank lead will continue. As Disrespect is kind of forced to be in the defensive position since his Marauder memes early on didn't work. And has he started like Stim?
He has not. That's a little bit scary. He actually doesn't have a single tech lab on any of his Raxes, so he is not working on any of the bio upgrades right now. As Kozan is looking to push out across the map, but at the same time, the Liberator was sharking around trying to find some damage. Does siege up at the natural.
Yes, nice job by the Liberator to deny lots of mining time. There are some Vikings that can deal with it, unless they get rallied across the map, of course. And that is so many, like, potential Marines, but there's just no stim. So that makes life so difficult.
How does Disrespect deal with this, right? Like, he can't stim down. Like, the tanks are already in position and sieged up, and there are even these Ravens looking after them. Like, oh boy.
You know, this is going to make life so difficult. Like, the Rax has to get lifted. These Vikings are going to maybe try and shoot down the Rax. It might have to land some. Luckily, there is an SCV to kind of repair it, but so this is not really what you want to be seeing as a Terran player.
Oh god.
Getting your
He's going for it.
Oh, he's going for it, but still no stim. Nice job moving forward. Lots of auto turrets go down, but all the Ravens get picked off, and Disrespect has to tap out. Well played by Kozan.
GG, what just like a solid scary push. Very minimal Marines to protect his tanks, but I guess at the end of the day he didn't need them because his opponent didn't have stim.
Exactly, like, and just that's like, it's so unfortunate. I feel like that's just like a super easy oversight to make, like, oh, you know, just make reactors with these. But wait, no, you kind of need a tech lab too, at least one of them. You can't, I don't think the triple reactor on the barracks is with the play. And sorry, my brain completely blanked on the word reactor. You have Light Shade, another very small map.
Oh yes, number 2. We do, as we are going to be loading into it. And again, it's such a shame because like that's what's so rough about Submarine is that like ground pushes hit so much faster, and unfortunately Disrespect he didn't scout it. He wasn't in position to intercept it. When he did finally see it, the tanks were already sieged up outside his base. It's like, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, no, Disrespect getting a bit of luck unlucky. However, speaking of Disrespect, in the bottom right-hand corner, representing intensity, give it up for the blue Terran player, Disrespect.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have his opponent, the other American Terran player. He is green, representing Icebound Esports. It is Kozan. Boy.
So, yeah, we have another very exciting TVT in our hands, and it looks like both players are doing basically the exact same thing.
Yep, pretty much. We saw a similar thing in game number 1 where like it took a while for their builds to begin to diverge. Obviously, Disrespect going for something a little bit cheeky, but in the end, not quite working out.
Yeah, so I believe Kozan may have gone for a gas first build as opposed to a Rax first. However, it looks like from the fact that neither player has built a second gas, they're both going to be going for an expansion. However, Kozan's going to have an extra 50 gas and a slightly slower Reaper is the trade-off that you make. I believe it's like 4 or 5 seconds, maybe even less than that, like 3. Was it the SCV Scout out of Disrespect, which I'm a big fan of, especially if you can delay it this natural that really ought to be going down, but not letting Kozan get it up, and both players expanding relatively quick.
Yeah. So Disrespect, just I guess, you know, checking, making sure that Kozan isn't doing anything crazy. There's no proxy out on the map, just confirming that the production is at home. Gets a nice eye on that CC timing as well, and yeah, he knows that this is going to be a pretty regular game, at least regular opening, I should say.
Yes, fairly stock standard for the initial stages. I'm very curious how the game will shape up, as I really like this play out of Disrespect. Going to the middle of the map with your first trooper, just hide in the bushes, and that initial extra shot should do you some good as he backs up like pretty quickly afterward, just to make sure to not die to like a Hellion or something.
Yeah, really nicely done, doing what he can with his initial Reaper as he is kind of getting into the swing of things when it comes to his production, working on his reactor, working on his factory. Likewise, so is Kozan a little bit faster with his factory. Ooh, looking to switch it up, switch with that Rax, start with that Hellion production. Interesting. Okay. I'm just keeping an eye on their openers, and yeah, like interesting how they're both slightly going for different variants. Nothing too crazy though. Oh boy. And yeah, okay, so so this is something, oh my god, so Disrespect was doing this in game number 1, and we were commending him for it. Mate, Kozan is going for the same thing.
I love it, absolutely love it. I also realized I was muted for a second.
Yeah, you were muted for
my bad. I said a whole thing, and I realized I didn't hear. But I love this build. This is just like this Marauder pressure is so fun to see. Disrespect doing it in multiple matchups, and Kozan finally doing it. So there's a bit of a skirmish, but nothing too insane. As you know, both players backing up, and Disrespect really has to defend this. And if he can defend this as well as Kozan did in game number 1, then maybe he can be the one pushing across the map with tanks denying a third base. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I feel like this is like Kozan saying, yo, I saw what you did in game 1, yo, I'm gonna execute it better. Like, I saw how it didn't work out for you, I'm gonna show you how it's done, as he is zooming across the map with those Marauders. And defensively, what do we have? We do have a Cyclone in the main base, tank is still a ways away.
Yes, but one thing I really like is this bunker in the natural, and things starting to dive. He is dropping the Marauders on the rift. Oh, there's a Widow Mine too, that's gonna cause problems, as I love the immediate lock on the medevac. It does not quite go down, as nice Widow Mine shot on most of those Marines. The SCVs do have to be pulled, and wow, Disrespect taking a decent amount of damage, so this is getting cleaned up nicely.
Oof, yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, the defense was pretty good from Disrespect. He only lost 1 SCV throughout all of that, like despite the Hellions getting into the mineral line. So yeah, that was really nice management there by Disrespect.
Yes, well done. And once again, we see that Liberator from Kozan maybe looking to get anything done. However, this time around, there is a Cyclone on the defense. And so that Cyclone will do a nice job of basically preventing any, or at least too much damage. Oh, it gets there literally right on time. Perfect job by Disrespect to get that. Unlucky for that Lib, though.
Yeah, the Liberator does go down. So far, Disrespect looking so much better here in this game, right? Like, he defended against the Hellbat push, sorry, the Marauder push. He just shot down the Liberator. Like, Kozan just hasn't been able to accomplish anything.
Exactly. A little bit of a supply block, but that's not the end of the world, as he is starting to move out with his 2 Ravens and some siege tanks. I really hope he goes for basically what happened in game 1, siege up at where the third base would potentially be. And just like kind of kill your opponent from there, as this bunker goes up from Kozan, and it does get filled, but still, like, there isn't anything really protecting this third base.
Yeah, not much at all, as we do have the tanks moving on forward. Now Disrespect is looking to get in position and siege up. Thankfully, Stim is on the way for both players. It's something that no one has forgotten this game.
Yes. Like last game, where Disrespect unluckily made a couple of extra reactors, and the Stim is very well protected by Kozan, but losing all these add-ons is going to really be a pain.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, he can't really do too much about it at the moment. It's going to be so difficult for him to like, go down the ramp into tank fire.
Exactly. And then these Ravens especially keeping everything nice and secure. And Disrespect just like backing up here. I really respect this play, like giving your opponent like, yeah, all right, so I could try and force my way to a win here. However, I feel like you are in a slightly better position than I was last time, especially with Stim nearly being done. It's not a bad play to back up here.
Yeah, definitely. He does the damage that he can, right? He denies all those add-ons, he forces a lift off of some of the production buildings, and backs off as he secures his own third a little bit faster compared to his opponent.
Yes, well done by Disrespect. He does get that third. He does have that like decent army lead of like 20 supply, which is nice. However, you know, so it's going to come down to like siege tank positioning and Ravens, and I'm really excited to see how these armies clash.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kozan did get a heads up of where the army was with that unit in the bush. Meanwhile, oh, the matrices go off.
The matrices go off. Two of the tanks goes down. He does end up cleaning up the third one, and so Kozan just doesn't have any tanks. Like that's right. He's evacuating the third base. He has to flee and hope to live another day, because like with 4 siege tanks, it is going to be so hard for Kozan to fight this army. Disrespect is in a really nice position.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like having your tank count reset is disastrous for the Terran player. He does now have 1 on the high ground, but the longer this goes on, the better it is for Disrespect. Like he's sitting at home perfectly fine, mining off of 3 bases.
Yes, I love it. For Disrespect, he's getting upgrades. He's got Combat Chill on the way, and Disrespect getting even a 4th base in the background, as this army is just like so well put. This is a really, really nice contain here, and then just like constant, you know, scans of, hey, you're still here, right? And backing up. This is a very safe play out of Disrespect, is backing up, giving his opponent some breathing room.
Yeah, definitely. I do hope that he does eventually rotate down here towards the south. Again, just continuing to deny his opponent. Ooh, a drop. Is it going to run into the reeds? Oh, God.
Oh, no. That's like absolute worst timing. Loses so much of that drop. Literally a perfect disaster for Kozan Disrespect, as the third base is once again getting lifted off. It might even go down. Tanks are sieged. The army's getting cleaned up, and Kozan looks to be on the run.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful matrix there, once again killing off another tank, and now we do have Disrespect pushing into the natural base location, getting on top of the tanks.
As the tanks, the SCVs do have to be pulled. The tanks all go down. GG gets called, and Disrespect takes game number 2.
Wow, GG. A bit unfortunate, because so far it looks like whoever goes for that Marauder push just comes out, just doesn't make it out. It's like it's just not working out for them.
Unlucky, I do have to say. But the Marauder push was definitely an interesting build for both players, and I'm curious, do you think game on the line, the last game, the game who decides who moves on from the group, do you think either of them are going to proxy rounds?
Oh, you're right. I almost completely forgot. I thought you were going to go for... what I was going to say is, mate, both of them are going to go for the Marauder push this time against each other. But proxy, I personally, I like it on Death Aura, but at the same time, which one of these players feels confident enough to do it in the final game of this best of 3? Like, this is it. This is the ace match.
Yeah, this is the final game. This is the deciding match. The winner of this does go on, and the loser gets eliminated here on Death Aura. I'm really excited. This is the match, and I really want to see if one of these players proxy. I would love to see it here.
Please do so. Let the memes be free. Here we go as we are loading into Death Aura LE. And in the top left hand corner, we have the American Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing his new team, Intensity Esports. It is Disrespect.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, in the green, representing Icebound Esports. Give it up for the green Terran player, Kozan.
Oh boy, so I know you have some bias here. I know Disrespect is your friend, but like, who do you think is going to come out on top here? Like, this is where it all comes down to.
Well, I mean, I'm a little upset because Disrespect didn't go for the proxy 2 Rax Reaper that I was hoping he'd go for. However, I do think that, despite that fact, I do think Disrespect will come out on top. He's playing a bit of a safer build this time around. And he's really, I just think, trying like, yeah, I'm going to outplay you in the macro game and be pretty good. And so, yeah, Disrespect would be my choice.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think both players have really shone today. I think it's a shame that one of them is going to be eliminated. I think that's the thing. In a perfect world, like they all move on and they can all, like, you know, advance and compete in NA Apprentice Code S, right? Like that's kind of what the purpose of Code A is about. for those wondering, we didn't get to mention it, but after this season, we're going to have those old school up and down matches to see who gets promoted to Code S and who gets relegated to Code A. So yeah, it's a shame that one of these players is getting knocked out.
You know, definitely a shame. However, these players, they're both very good. One of them does have to be better than the others. The decision has to be made. Yeah. They both did lose, I believe, to I can't remember his name now.
ScrubbleS.
It was a very player. ScrubbleS. Yes, they both lost to ScrubbleS, who had a very, very clean group. And so, you know, it eventually just came down to this. And as they both seem to be taking their naturals at similar times, I'm excited to see how things go.
Yeah, definitely. As there's a little bit of a skirmish between the two Reapers in the center of the map. Ooh, Disrespect coming out ahead there.
Yes, and eagerly losing the Reaper is Kozan, but these acceleration zones and Disrespect doing a bit of miss micro prevents him from actually getting a kill on the Reaper. But, you know, very well done. Disrespect to win that initial fight, and we'll have to wait and see exactly how things play out.
Definitely. I also like that both these players, they seem to be friends as well. Like, we saw Disrespect earlier in the chat. Kozan, he gave him a heads up in his group, you know, like they were helping each other out, right? Like they were having some friendly bants about teams earlier as well. So yeah, it always adds that extra layer when two players who are very familiar with each other have to duke it out.
Exactly. Extra drama, extra intensity, extra spiciness as these players, one of them does have to beat the other. And Disrespect's Reapers were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but luckily they didn't get caught. And this is quite a big push up this ramp. I am a bit worried for my buddy Disrespect here.
Yeah, definitely. He only has 2 Reapers and 1 Hellion here to try and deny this. And immediately he evacuates the natural. But the Cyclone does come out just in time.
Yes, I really like the Cyclone. Oh, nice Reaper grenades. To kind of stop things out. But these Reapers are now in the main base dealing quite a bit of damage. 4 SCVs in total will go down, and while eventually they do get cleaned up, they do deal quite a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely well worth it for the initial investment of those Reapers and those Hellions, as 4 SCVs go down, a bunch of lost mining time, and yeah, it does trade a little bit with the army of Disrespect as well.
It's really nice job by Kozan there. He trades out, and I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. He is down like a little bit of army supply, but he's ahead a little bit in workers, and so like I feel like but overall they're still pretty even, and so I'm curious what the mid-game plans will be from both players.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since so far it doesn't seem like either one is going for, you know, that like committed Marauder push. So we're finally going to be able to see them both get into the swing of things, maybe get into the mid game at a more like equal playing field, which is something that we haven't seen in the series.
Agreed. Although, while you do say an equal midfield, Disrespect has a 3rd CC that is quite a bit earlier than the 3rd CC of his opponent, Kozan, which, you know, is a bit unfortunate for Kozan, but still Disrespect. Nice job. Squeezing out every little bit does help.
Oh yeah, definitely. Investing a little bit more in his economy early on. Meanwhile, Kozan, he isn't being, you know, aggressive in any way, shape, or form, so Disrespect can get away with that. Especially since, you know, Kozan is just kind of chilling at home, focusing on his defense at the moment, working on his Raven count.
Yes, the Raven count, the all-important Raven count, I believe the magic number is 3, though sometimes they do like to stop at 2 just because it's a bit easier gas-wise to get 2 than 3, and so we'll have to see if they're 2 Raven players today or 3 Raven players for the most important match.
Yeah, it's really interesting how TVT works out, because I don't know how many like late game TVTs you've encountered, but it's interesting how initially you have like 3 Ravens, then maybe you lose them or something in the mid game, you don't remake them, and then when you get to the late game, you just like go mass Raven into BCs, and then like things get crazy. Part of me hopes we get to see that here. I don't know, like it feels like we haven't had too many long games today.
Yeah, no, all the games, I definitely agree with you. I feel like all the games have been like relatively short, relatively like 10, maybe 15 minutes, I believe was the longest one, if I remember right. And so this has been a fairly short day, which is, you know, interesting enough. I was expecting like quite a bit longer of a
broadcast.
That's sorry. My brain stopped working for a second. Yeah, quite a bit longer of a broadcast. As my brain seems to be in sleep mode, as both players are moving around a bit. And I like Disrespect's position here. It does siege first. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, just barely in time. Meanwhile, he is pivoting over to the right-hand side, and he does siege once again. So Kozan, he's looking for an angle, an opportunity to break in, but he just can't find it. Oh.
That's nice. Disable on one of the tanks, but he does get it unsieged before it can really be jumped on. And a whole bunch of auto turrets are going down. However, there are 3 Ravens versus 2, so a bunch more auto turrets for Disrespect. None of the tanks are really sieged here for either player. Finally, they're sieging up, and I feel like Disrespect is maybe winning the fight. I don't know.
Yeah, it does feel like he is. I mean, all the Ravens did fall for Kozan. It looks like the reinforcements, the defensive position for Disrespect is just barely enough, landing the Vikings on top of the last remaining tank.
It's really a nice job, and now Disrespect has a nice tank lead. At least for now, he can keep that tank up production, and his upgrades are so much faster than Kozan's. If I were a Kozan fan, I would be a little bit worried looking at the upgrades and having that tank count reset and having the fight just go that poorly.
Yeah, definitely. But it is always important to note that in a TVT, like, you can win skirmishes early on here and there, but it can be so difficult to like close out the game, as like just because like tanks are so good defensively. So we've seen like TVTs like be elongated a little bit. Especially because we've reached that stage where like players aren't remaking their Ravens, so like they have very limited disable, so it's so much harder to break those tank lines.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that is very, very nice from Kozan is he is getting a pair of sensor towers. And so having just like these sensor towers, being able to detect, hey, where exactly my opponents will be, and just being able to play so much more defensively, I feel like this is a nice move just to like wait, maybe get a 4th base, get your upgrades going, and try and hold on, because it's really hard, as you said, to push into tanks because they deal so much damage.
Yeah, definitely.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, like it makes the most sense for Kozan, right? Like after losing that engagement, like you're most likely down in count in tanks. So like, yeah, just slow things down, slowly expand. Meanwhile, Disrespect himself is doing something similar, you know, working on his army, getting his own sensor tower up and running. His 4th is already almost complete.
Yeah, and that 4th base being like so much faster than Kozan's is a bit of a worry.
Yeah,
I don't think Kozan has started his.
He hasn't. I just realized as soon as you started saying that, I'm like, oh my god, he has not started his 4th. Only just now.
Yes, that's less than ideal, I would definitely argue. However, one thing he does have going for him is he is going to have a larger tank count quicker, because his 2nd factory is just so much faster than Disrespect. I don't believe Disrespect has like even started a 2nd factory at all, and I'm not sure if he's going to anytime soon.
Yeah, so I guess it's a nice way for Kozan to catch up, you know, after that early engagement, to have that double tank production. But like, here we go, he's moving out. He has to do something here because again, he's so far behind in terms of that 4th base. He has to deal some kind of economic damage.
Exactly, and it's like Disrespect with the absolute mad lad of a sensor tower placed so far forward that you can just see from a mile away where the army is. Nice job by Disrespect to keep up with where things is, and the army is a little bit out of position for Disrespect, but it's getting there very quickly. Siege tanks are sieging, and it's going to be so difficult to push up this ramp.
Yeah, exactly. He is here to meet, and on top of that, he also has his Raven.
Oh, really nice Dorito cannon. All the units, the anti-armor missile, losing out on the -3 armor, which is very, very good for Disrespect, because Marines deal damage so quickly, and oh no, losing a bit of a siege tank due to a slight misposition, but only the one for one, not a bad spot to be in.
Yeah, not at all, as again, it's still so difficult for Kozan to push up this ramp, and he realizes it, he unsieges, he backs off.
I feel like this is the right play, because like both players are maxed. Kozan does finally have a 4th base, and like the upgrades, while they are faster for Disrespect, Kozan is catching up, especially in like vehicle upgrades. And so I'd love to see just Kozan like maybe try and get another CC here, just like extra, and really just defend, and like not necessarily his bases, but like his territory, like defend, like stake out what base you want to take next, and start to prevent Disrespect from moving into that area.
Yeah, definitely. As we do see, all the armies are clashing in the center of the map, but once again, another Dorito cannon.
cleaning everything up. The siege tanks of Disrespect aren't firing though. However, there's just so much Dorito Cannon. The anti-armor missile doing so much there. So the Marines just absolutely slaughter for Disrespect. Poor Kozan. As he's getting more starports, another CC, and like, this is rough. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like it goes to show like how valuable it was for Disrespect to keep at least one of his Ravens alive from that early game. Just like how much it's just swung these fights in favor of Disrespect.
It's exactly that. One Raven doing so much work, and that's why Ravens are king in TVT. Did he? That Raven did eventually get cleaned up, which is nice. But Disrespect getting more Ravens, more starports. More work being done, and even the Raven upgrade. I love to see it. Corvid reactors, I think it is.
Yep, there we go. So Disrespect, he's gotten to the point where he is going for that double Raven production. He has realized how valuable they've been for him. Meanwhile, Kozan still hasn't gone for that. He did defend a drop earlier, defending his 4th base, so nicely done. And he is trucking around, looking to try and hit before those Ravens come out, before those upgrades hit.
Exactly. It is going to be very important that Kozan like not really lose a massive army fight to the Ravens of Disrespect, because you kind of need like to not get your whole army Dorito Cannon in order to like really be able to take a fight, or you need to also anti-armor missile your opponent's army. Just like, but there has to be some semblance of balance there. Otherwise, just the game does not go well for you as siege tanks are sieging up, not in range of each other though, or actually losing one tank. That's a lie.
Yeah, nicely done by Kozan. He was able to siege up a little bit faster. Ooh, look at this be set up for a Doom drop. Or a triple drop.
Yes, I love it. The 3 medevacs will do so much, and especially if they can just skirt around a bit. It's so hard to tell when units disappear, as the Sense Tower gets immediately blasted by siege tanks on the high ground. And, you know, Disrespect, he has got a nice defensive position, but does he have anything to deal with this, like, triple drop? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the drop does land, and there is nothing really here to stop it. It immediately focusing down the CC.
Yes, I love it. The CC is looking like it's going to burn down. There's so many SCVs. There's some that are just like losing out 20 SCVs and the whole army. This is absolute worst case scenario. Losing maybe even a second SCV. That's not what you want to see here today. Disrespect was doing so well. What happened?
Exactly. Jesus Christ. Like, Disrespect, like his entire army was over on the right hand side. He was not ready whatsoever for a drop, despite it being scouted by the Sensor Tower, and loses 2 CCs and 23 SCVs.
Yes, nice job by Kozan. He is definitely in the driver's seat of this game now. Disrespect's going to have to do something. Defend really well. He does have 5 bases versus 5, and so like he's not like, he's got 4 bases versus 5, but like so it's not really down base count wise, but a lot of the bases are starting to dry up for Kozan, so Disrespect in not a terrible position.
Oh god, and now Disrespect is being abused a little bit because he lost that Sensor Tower earlier. Like, he has very limited scouting information on that minimap, and now these Marines, they come back in and dealing some more damage, catching some reinforcements.
Yes, nice job by Kozan to really get such a good position here. Poor Disrespect. He does have a really nice army still, and it's really hard to push into his army. These Marines are just wrecking havoc. An auto turret gets down, 2 Ravens get picked off, and man, Kozan is just absolutely in the driver's seat for this game.
That triple medevac drop just won him. Like, it's doing so well for him. Like, it's the amount of damage has been insane.
Yes, absolutely ridiculous. Disrespect is still on a good SCV count, and he still does have 5 CCs. However, with his opponent taking 6 bases, he is going to need to expand once again. And really, he just needs to max out, and he's almost there, so I believe he'll be okay, but like, still, it's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to give him credit, like, both players, they have massive banks. Like, losing that economy, like, it's not the biggest of deals for Disrespect. We do see he is retaking that 5th base. His SCV his SCV count is still incredible as well, only down by 10, so he's still perfectly fine as both players are remaxing.
Nice job by both players. They do remax. They are continuing to get those upgrades, though one thing that does worry me is Disrespect only really has 2 Ravens, and is 2 Ravens really going to be enough here? Like, maybe he does indeed like know best and like, oh, you know, I want more Marines, but for me, I generally like to have like a good count of like 3-ish Ravens so I can just like absolutely disable everything. But that is so many Marines, and Disrespect is just like kind of out of position. He's going to have to repair very quickly. I don't think he will.
Oh my god, Disrespect, he just tries to run into the massive tank line and he loses to so many Marines.
Yes. Oh, so not the fight you want to take. Well played by Kozan to move on here, but GG to both players. What a game.
Oh, GG. Kozan, for the longest time, he was looking so good, but everything just started to crumble around him when those 3 medevacs went over to the left-hand side. Like, that was the game-winning move there.
Yes, really well done. Split up your army. I believe Disrespect got a scan after, and if he was super paying attention, he might have been able to count like, oh, hey, there's a medevac or 2 missing. Something is up. But like I don't think he quite like that's such a hard thing to notice.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, you should have a bigger army here. Like we're even. But like, what a game! What a game! What a way to end it.
What a way. GG, well played. Kozan does come out second in this group and does advance out alongside ScrubbleS.
Yes. That was very fun. A lot of TVZs, and yeah, ScrubbleS and Kozan, they did play very well. I'm a bit sad Disrespect didn't make it through, but you know, there's always next season.
Yeah. Definitely. I know Sugar has big plans for NA Apprentice. Again, like, he cares so much about the NA StarCraft 2 scene. He's always reiterating, like, however he can. He's always looking at like the formats that he's putting out there for the NA players and trying to do the best that he can to, you know, to refine them. And yeah, that's why this season we do have that Code S and that Code A format. Yeah, it's really cool what Sugar's doing.
Yeah, and it's a very fun format too, because like one of the big things I always loved about early GSL was the up and down matches, like the hype of like you might have lost out early, but or you might have advanced through, but like those up and down matches are very cool. So I'm very excited to see that semblance of that returning to StarCraft.
Yeah, definitely. And not just that, but also thank you so much, mLty, for joining me today. I know you haven't casted too much here on the CranKy Ducklings, but I really appreciate you like finding the time to come out here and join me for NA Apprentice.
Yeah, no, it was very fun. I'm more than happy to be here, and I, hope to come back again next week for Group B, I think it is.
Yeah, we will be covering Group B, and then the following week will be C and D. And on top of that, you were just mentioning it, I believe we will also be casting those up and down matches as the season comes to a close. So yeah, that will all be here on the CranKy Ducklings channel.
Yes, it's very exciting. Do check out the match arena, or I believe it's the match arena. It's like NA
Patreon,
arena, I think.
Patreon.
NA Patreon. That's it. Eventually we figure out the chat commands. So do check it out and do support the NA Apprentice. It's a very fun event. I have played in it a little bit in the past, and it's always a good time. And yeah, definitely. Massive shout out to Sugar. Check out that Patreon again to support him as best you can, to support the NA StarCraft 2 scene as best you can. I know we really appreciate it. And yeah, again, great games today. Condolences to Disrespect. I know he was in the chat earlier. I feel a bit bad that he didn't make it through, but regardless, he had some really good games. I hope he doesn't beat himself too much over them. Yeah, and hey, there's always next season, which he has to train harder for. Exactly. And not just NA Apprentice, but this is also something to like kind of keep people busy, keep people in shape for DreamHack, right? Like the DreamHack 2021 season it's going to be starting up, in a couple of months. Yeah, exactly. And this is just a nice event to like kind of get you going on this sort of thing, and just to keep you ready. But yeah, always fun to see. Definitely. And thank you so much for joining me, mLty. If people want to find more of you, where can they find you? So very occasionally I do stream on Twitch. I'm actually building a new computer so I can stream on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/mLTSC. And then on Twitter as well, I am at mLTSC. As you can, I mostly shitpost on Twitter, but it's fine. I do occasionally tweet useful things and retweet things that I'm doing. And so yeah, follow me there and on Twitch. And I hope to be back here next week. And Light, what about you? Do you have any social medias you want to plug?
Yeah, light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. You can follow me there. I do stream occasionally, every now and then, you know, a ladder stream or behind the scenes stream. More recently, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy. So if you're somewhat interested in that, you can follow me there. But yeah, on social media for the events that I do cast. More importantly, you can follow the CranKy Ducklings, as I just showed the schedule on screen right now. We are live throughout the week. 5 out of the 7 days. We have plenty of StarCraft here. Our next broadcast is going to be Saturday morning with Gopa Hyperion at 9 a.m. KST. So if you enjoyed our casting, if you want some more StarCraft, then hit that follow button. We've got plenty of it here on the CranKy Ducklings. And with that, do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have anything else, you know, maybe regarding NA Apprentice or?
No, not really. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what happens next week with all the other groups. I'm looking forward to seeing who else makes it out. Some of the other groups seem to be incredibly interesting. I believe seeing Flood and like Group A with like Flood, Mogar, Riser is going to be a very fun group.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's some big names. I'd also love to see how Eon does, and Eurystheus players, and Ruichi players that have been on this channel before. I don't know if you remember Ruichi, but like 2-3 years ago, he used to play in like MSO as well. And now he's like a top GM on NA, which is amazing to see. But yeah, regardless, thank you everyone for watching. And we'll see you next week. More importantly, we'll see you in 2 days for Gopa Hyperion. Thanks for watching. Ciao.